Single dad CEO hired a black nanny, but when he saw her dancing with his daughter, everything changed in an instant. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. The high-rise building of Aurora Tech stood tall against the evening sky, a glimmering testament to modern architecture and relentless ambition. Its founder and CEO, Nick Crawford, had poured years of sweat and drive into reaching the pinnacle of his industry. To the outside world, he was a confident entrepreneur who seemed to have it all: wealth, respect, and a towering office with sweeping views of the city. Yet behind that image of achievement lay a man quietly grappling with the toughest role of his life: being a single father. Nick's wife, Diana, had passed away 3 years prior in an accident that made international headlines, given her philanthropic work and the Crawfords' high-profile status. He'd lost not only his partner but also his source of unconditional emotional support. Ever since, he had done his best to raise their 6-year-old daughter, Lily, while ensuring Aurora Tech soared to new heights. But each day felt like a tightrope walk, balancing calls with investors and the nightly bedtime routine, drafting corporate strategies while helping Lily with her homework. His success in the boardroom only underscored how chaotic his personal life had become. On a crisp Monday morning, the first day of October, Nick was running late as usual. He juggled Lily's lunchbox, his cell phone, and a half-buttoned suit jacket, simultaneously fielding urgent texts from an investor in London. Lily, sensing his stress, stood silently by the breakfast counter, her expression a mixture of patience and sadness. She used to be vibrant and talkative, but since her mother's passing, her smiles had grown less frequent. Nick saw it in her eyes. She missed having someone who could give her warmth and attention without being perpetually distracted by work. That very morning, Nick's longtime housekeeper and part-time nanny, Mrs. Dawson, announced that she had to step away indefinitely to care for her ailing sister. Hearing the news, Nick felt his pulse quicken. Mrs. Dawson's presence had been his safety net. Though she was nearing her 70s and not as energetic as before, at least she had been consistent and devoted. With her departure, Nick felt a new urgency. He couldn't keep relying on chance or temporary staff to tend to Lily. He needed a professional nanny, someone young enough to keep up with Lily's playful energy, yet mature enough to manage discipline. Most of all, he needed someone who could connect with his daughter's shy heart. That evening, Nick scrolled through an online hiring platform specifically designed for domestic staffing. Dozens of profiles popped up: ex-teachers, caregivers with advanced certifications, and even nannies with foreign language skills. His eyes wandered over the credentials, but none struck him as unique, until he saw one name: Camilla Johnson. The profile photo showed a bright, smiling woman of 22, with kind eyes and a background in dance performance. Newly graduated, she had experience in children's theater programs and was seeking a live-in nanny position. She mentioned being comfortable traveling if required, fluent in French, and having a deep love for music. Nick hesitated. Her youth might be a concern, and the small detail that she was from a performing arts background. Did that translate to real childcare expertise? Still, something about her genuine smile tugged at him. He couldn't help reading the description once more. Specializes in creative play, using music and dance to help children express themselves. Experience volunteering in after-school arts programs, including with shy or grieving kids. Grieving kids. The phrase lingered in Nick's mind. Could that be a sign she might understand Lily's sadness? Nick decided to trust his intuition. He typed out a brief message to Camilla. "Hello, Camilla. My name is Nick Crawford, and I'm looking for a nanny for my 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Could we arrange an interview?" He pressed send and exhaled, the day's exhaustion settling into his bones. Before he could place the phone down, it vibrated. An immediate reply. She was available to meet the next day. When Camilla arrived at Nick's penthouse the following afternoon, She exuded a warm, approachable energy that surprised him. She wore a simple floral dress and carried a folder of references. Nick caught sight of her posture, poised almost like a dancer's stance, and he noticed how her eyes lit up when Lily peeked around the corner. Lily, clinging to the banister, gave Camilla a timid wave. Rather than stepping forward and making a fuss, Camilla sank down to Lily's eye level and said softly, "Hi, I'm Camilla. It's nice to meet you." It was a gentle invitation, asking permission to be a part of Lily's world. During the interview, Nick could sense Camilla's genuine love for working with kids. She shared anecdotes of teaching small dance workshops where insecure children blossomed after a few sessions. When Lily shyly admitted she liked drawing but worried her drawings weren't any good, Camilla asked if Lily might share one with her. Lily scampered off to retrieve a rough sketch of a princess wearing mismatched shoes. "I like how your princess is so confident," Camilla said. "I bet she could dance in those shoes and never trip." Lily gave a fleeting smile, something Nick hadn't seen in a while. Camilla's references spoke highly of her patience, creativity, and sense of responsibility. Her volunteering in underserved communities had made a real difference for many kids. Although she was only 22, she had grown up quickly after losing her own mother in her teens. Nick felt a hush fill the room at that moment. Camilla's empathy for Lily's situation wasn't a coincidence. It was built from her own personal history. After showing her around the penthouse, pointing out Lily's room, the sprawling play area, and the modern yet somewhat sterile living room, Nick led Camilla to the quiet study. There, they finalized the terms. She would be a live-in nanny, have her own bedroom and bathroom in the residence, and would primarily watch Lily during Nick's extended work hours. In return, Camilla would receive a generous salary, health benefits, and the possibility of traveling with them if business ever took Nick out of town. Camilla blinked in disbelief. "Mr. Crawford, I'm honored. Honestly, I didn't expect a position like this to open up so soon," she confessed. Nick assured her that with his schedule he needed someone reliable right away. But inside, he felt the stirrings of doubt. Would a young woman fresh out of college handle the intensity of Lily's emotional needs? Could she deal with the silent heartbreak that still haunted his daughter at night? Yet, from that first day, Camilla proved her worth. In the mornings, Nick found Lily humming tunes Camilla taught her. At bedtime, instead of the usual tension, Lily seemed calmer. She'd tell Nick short stories about a dance they did in the living room, or about how Camilla found a clever way to make math homework feel fun. Nick recalled overhearing faint laughter drifting from Lily's room when Camilla recounted some silly theatrical memory. Laughter. It had been so long since Lily had truly laughed. The sound felt like an unexpected gift in a home that for the past 3 years was too silent, too weighed down by sorrow. But neither Nick nor Camilla could have guessed the quiet bond that would soon grow between them. It started with shared glances during meal preparation, each noticing how Lily beamed when they worked together to set the table. It continued late at night, when Nick, finishing a flurry of emails, would see Camilla guiding Lily through gentle stretches before bed. Music low, Lily's face peaceful, as if each movement was a step out of grief's shadow. Standing in the hallway, Nick felt something spark in his chest that he immediately tried to brush aside. This was a professional arrangement. He was Camilla's employer. He'd promised himself he'd never entangle Lily's life with any impulsive choices or risk confusion. Yet he couldn't deny that Camilla was bringing light to a place he'd long considered irreversibly dim. The first inkling that fate had a deeper plan arrived one afternoon when Nick came home earlier than usual. He stepped inside, loosened his tie, and followed the distant sound of music. Soft, melodic jazz emanated from the living room. There he saw Camilla, eyes closed, swaying gracefully across the polished floor as Lily tried her best to mimic each step. Lily giggled whenever she stumbled, and Camilla would patiently guide her small hands, helping her find her balance. The sunlight streaming through the tall windows seemed to spotlight the moment, as though capturing a fleeting instance of pure innocence and joy. Nick stood motionless, mesmerized. He noticed how Camilla's movements were effortlessly elegant, her expression radiating an almost maternal warmth for Lily. It was in that unguarded moment that he felt an inexplicable jolt to his heart, a realization that maybe this young nanny was not just a caretaker, but someone who had the power to change both their lives forever. He knew crossing professional boundaries was dangerous. He knew the press could twist any story about Aurora Tech's powerful CEO and a young nanny. But in that hush of the living room, as Lily laughed and Camilla's soft singing filled the space, Nick could no longer deny the depth of his emotions. He had already fallen for this kind-hearted dancer even before he was conscious of it, and their story was just beginning. The next morning, Nicholas Crawford awoke with a renewed sense of anticipation. His mind drifted back to that mesmerizing scene in the living room, Camilla and Lily dancing without a care in the world. It was a warmth he hadn't felt in ages, a promise of something deeper than the daily grind. Yet as soon as he reminded himself of the day's packed agenda, his excitement tangled with worry. He had conference calls with international clients, a product launch on the horizon, and an endless to-do list for Aurora Tech. Lingering thoughts about Camilla, about any possibility beyond their employer-employee relationship, made him feel disoriented. He was still a father first, and after Diana, he'd promised himself he'd never introduce confusion into Lily's life. He got out of bed and tiptoed down the hallway, pausing at Lily's door. It was early, but he could hear a gentle melody floating from inside. Someone was humming. He knocked softly and peeked in. Camilla sat on the edge of Lily's bed, reading a children's book aloud, her voice low and soothing. Lily's eyes were still half-lidded with sleep, but she looked content, nibbling on the corner of a blanket and listening intently. At the sight of Nick, Lily gave a tiny wave. "Morning," Camilla said with a smile, her hair gathered into a loose bun. "I thought I'd read her a quick story before breakfast. Hope that's okay?" Nick nodded, trying to steady his pulse. "Of course. Thank you." He knelt down to press a light kiss on Lily's forehead. "And how's my girl this morning?" Lily gave a sleepy shrug. "Camilla was telling me about the dancing fairies who wake up every sunrise." Camilla chuckled. "We make them tiptoe across the pillow so they don't get caught by grumpy morning trolls." Nick stood up, noticing Lily's little grin. It was a simple routine, reading a whimsical tale at dawn. Yet these small gestures were forging a bond with Lily that Nick had hoped for but never managed to spark on his own. He left the room feeling a mixture of gratitude and a faint tug of envy. Camilla was weaving magic into Lily's mornings, something Nick, so lost in spreadsheets and investor calls, hadn't done in a long time. After a quick shower and a change into a tailored navy suit, Nick headed down to the kitchen. The aroma of scrambled eggs and bacon reminded him of simpler times, before the accident, when Diana would whip up Saturday brunch while Lily chased the cat around the living room. He half expected his wife to appear around the corner, but that was the old normal. Now, things were different. Camilla soon came downstairs, wearing a casual blouse and jeans. She helped Lily settle at the table. Without missing a beat, she made sure Lily got the first serving, then turned to Nick. "Coffee? I figured you might need a little boost." Nick's phone buzzed at that very second with an incoming email. Someone from Aurora Tech's legal department needed urgent clarifications. He sighed. "Yes, please, thank you," he answered, glancing at Camilla. She had a quick, efficient manner, but she was also gentle, like she was pouring kindness into every small act. When breakfast finished, Nick had to rush out the door, barely having time for a proper goodbye. Lily clung to his leg for a moment. "Daddy, will you be home for dinner tonight?" she asked, her voice laced with uncertain hope. Nick felt that pang of guilt in his chest again. "I'll try, sweetheart," he whispered. "But if I'm late, Camilla will make sure you get to bed on time, okay?" He could see Lily's eyes cloud a bit, the same disappointment Nick had witnessed too many times. He understood she was only 6, but her face reflected the weariness of someone much older, someone tired of broken promises. Nick forced a reassuring smile. "I'll do my best." As he stepped into his waiting car, Nick caught Camilla's gaze. It was a gentle, empathetic look, as though she knew precisely how torn he felt leaving Lily behind so often. He gave a nod, part apology, part gratitude, then let the driver take him to Aurora Tech. The day at the office was chaos. A panel of international investors had flown in from Dubai to discuss expansion. Nick's phone rang incessantly. Directors demanded last-minute changes to a presentation. By mid-afternoon, his assistant reminded him of an evening fundraiser he was scheduled to attend, something for a youth arts program that Aurora Tech sponsored. Ties to the local community were crucial to the company's image, especially for charitable causes. Nick looked at his watch. It was already 4 p.m. Lily would be out of school soon, heading home with Camilla. He mentally calculated that he'd have to get ready for the gala by 6:30. Maybe he could slip away by 8 or 9 p.m., but that would still be too late for Lily's bedtime. Sometime around 5:30, as Nick was wrapping up a meeting, his phone buzzed with a photo message. It was from Camilla. He opened it to find a snapshot of Lily in the living room, proudly holding up a colorful painting of a unicorn with sparkly wings. Lily's grin was wide and bright, as if the painting itself had lifted her spirits. Beneath the picture, Camilla had written, "Just wanted to share this masterpiece. We wish you could see it in person, but we understand you're busy." Nick felt something twist in his heart. He quickly typed back, "That's amazing. Tell her I love it, and I'm proud of her." Less than a minute later came the reply, "She's smiling from ear to ear. She asked me to save a seat at dinner, just in case." That last phrase caught him off guard. Just in case. Even though it was a simple text, Nick could imagine Camilla's gentle tone behind it. She was giving Lily hope. She was also giving Nick a subtle nudge, reminding him that a spot at the table would always be open. Nick glanced at the clock. The fundraiser was important. Business moguls and city officials would be there, and his presence would be noted. But the same sense of urgency coursed through him when he thought about Lily's happiness. It was time to weigh his priorities, maybe in a way he hadn't dared to before. 2 hours later, Nick found himself in the posh ballroom of the Crescent Hotel, wearing a tailored tuxedo. The decor was lavish, all gold accents and crystal chandeliers. Servers in white gloves carried trays of hors d'oeuvres. He mingled with donors, shaking hands, talking about philanthropic initiatives and Aurora Tech's new venture into global markets. Cameras flashed whenever big names posed together, yet Nick's mind kept straying. He pictured Lily sitting at home, the painting of that unicorn on the table, waiting. He pictured Camilla, perhaps reading Lily another bedtime story. He realized this glossy, sophisticated world no longer thrilled him the way it once had. His pulse picked up as he glanced at his phone, 7:45 p.m. If he hurried, maybe he'd make it. He excused himself, slipping away from a conversation with a local council member. Ignoring curious stares from some in the crowd, Nick left the event early, darting through the doors and calling for his driver. It wasn't typical for him to depart a major fundraiser so abruptly, but something in him refused to remain. At 8:15, he opened the door to his penthouse. The living room was dimly lit. He heard quiet laughter coming from the kitchen. As Nick walked in, he found Lily perched on a stool, rolling out cookie dough while Camilla steadied the tray. Flour dusted Lily's nose, and Camilla looked up, pleasantly surprised. "You're home," Camilla said, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She'd changed into sweats, a far cry from the glamour Nick had just abandoned. She seemed neither rushed nor frazzled, just present, as though her entire focus was on Lily's happiness. Nick loosened his tie. "I decided the fundraiser could do without me for once." Lily's eyes grew wide. "Daddy!" She launched herself off the stool and ran into his arms, smearing flour on his tuxedo lapel. He didn't care. "You left a fancy party just to come here?" Lily asked in a small voice. He kissed the top of her head. "Yes," he answered simply, eyeing Camilla over Lily's shoulder. "I'd rather be home tonight." Camilla's eyes shone with approval, though she quickly turned back to the tray, giving Lily and her father a moment. Nick settled onto a chair at the kitchen island, Lily on his lap. The entire space smelled of sugar and vanilla. It felt oddly surreal, sitting there in a tuxedo while Lily wore an apron and Camilla teased them about how big or small to cut the cookies. He caught a glimpse of Camilla sprinkling chocolate chips, dancing her fingertips lightly across the dough. For a fleeting second, their eyes locked. She smiled, warm, welcoming, and something more. He felt a rush of gratitude so intense it bordered on awe. In one night, she had brought him closer to Lily than he'd been in months, simply by believing he'd show up. When the cookies went into the oven, Lily dragged Nick to the living room to show off the painting. She babbled about how Camilla helped her mix colors. With each sentence, Nick felt a glimmer of pride, overshadowed by a pang of regret that he hadn't been around to share these little moments before. Yet there was no time for guilt now. Lily was excited, and all he could do was be present, letting her chatter fill the silences that once dominated the penthouse. Finally, as the cookies cooled, Camilla coaxed Lily upstairs for bedtime. Nick hung back in the kitchen, leaning on the counter, loosening the first 2 buttons of his dress shirt. He heard distant giggles echo down the hallway, then the hush of Lily's bedroom door. A few minutes later, Camilla reappeared, stepping softly into the kitchen. "She's asleep," she whispered. Nick offered a half-smile. "Thank you for all of this, for the painting, for dinner, for—" He let the words trail off. There was too much to say. Camilla glanced down, almost shy. "I'm glad you made it. It means a lot to her." She turned off the kitchen light, except for a small lamp over the stove, and moved as if to go to her own room. "Camilla," Nick called, his voice catching. She paused, meeting his gaze in the soft glow. He searched for words, but nothing sounded right. He simply wanted to say that because of her, he felt like a real father again. And something else. He felt alive, noticing the subtle tension each time they spoke. "Yes, Mr. Crawford," she said, polite but gentle, as if she too felt that shift in the air. Nick almost reached out, then caught himself. "It's nothing," he murmured, stepping back, remembering the invisible boundaries that separated them. "Good night?" Camilla nodded and disappeared down the hall. Nick stood there alone, the cooling rack of cookies untouched, the warm sugar scent lingering in the stillness. He rubbed a hand over his face, half frustrated by the tidal wave of emotion he couldn't articulate. Yet for all the complexity swirling in his mind, one simple truth remained. Tonight, Lily had looked the happiest he'd seen in years, and Camilla was the reason why. Morning light filtered through the penthouse's floor-to-ceiling windows as Camilla stood at the kitchen counter, carefully measuring flour into a mixing bowl. She was trying out a new muffin recipe. Blueberry lemon, she recalled from memory, hoping it might become one of Lily's new favorites. In her peripheral vision, she saw Lily step in, still wearing dinosaur-patterned pajamas, hair tousled from sleep. "Good morning," Camilla greeted softly. She gave Lily a welcoming smile, remembering how shy she'd been at first. Over the past few days, though, the girl had opened up in small, meaningful ways, asking Camilla for bedtime stories, offering a cautious hug before bed. Each sign of Lily's trust felt like a gift Camilla carried in her heart. "Morning," Lily answered, rubbing her eye. "Are those muffins?" Camilla nodded. "They'll be ready soon. Want to help me add the blueberries?" Lily bobbed her head in agreement, coming to stand on a stepping stool by the counter. She reached for the plastic container of fresh berries, carefully dropping them into the batter. Between small handfuls, she glanced toward the hallway, where Nick's office door was closed. He'd awakened even earlier than usual, immediately diving into conference calls. Camilla noticed Lily's gaze and felt a pulse of sympathy. It was only 7:15 in the morning, and Nick's day was already consumed by business. "Your dad's having a busy morning," Camilla said gently, stirring the batter. "He'll be out soon." Lily's little shoulders sagged. "He always has meetings. But that's okay. I like helping you." Camilla's heart clenched at the quiet acceptance in Lily's voice. She reached to squeeze Lily's hand gently. "I'm sure he'll come say hi as soon as he's free." Sure enough, the moment the oven timer dinged, Nick appeared, phone in hand, tie slightly askew. He set the phone aside, breathing out as if just surfacing from underwater. "What smells so good?" "Blueberry muffins," Lily piped up. "Camilla taught me how to fold the batter so the blueberries don't all break." Nick leaned over and inhaled the fresh aroma. For a brief instant, his perpetual tension seemed to melt away. He ruffled Lily's hair. "How'd you sleep?" "Good," Lily answered, subdued, but she offered a half-smile. "We did a silly dance before bedtime. We pretended we were cats." Camilla laughed, recalling Lily crawling around meowing, proud of her made-up steps. Nick's eyes flickered with warmth before he turned to Camilla. "Cats, huh?" She shrugged playfully. "Lily's idea." Nick's lips curved in a faint grin. It was fleeting, but Camilla caught it. Their eyes met. The moment lasted just long enough for an unspoken appreciation to pass between them. Then the phone buzzed on the counter, snapping Nick back to reality. He grimaced and answered, stepping aside to speak in hushed tones. Lily's gaze followed him, and Camilla saw that same fleeting disappointment in the child's eyes. Camilla exhaled softly. She felt Lily's heart break more clearly with each passing day, and she didn't blame her. The world of deadlines and corporate dealings overshadowed the simpler joys Nick clearly longed for but rarely got to savor. When Nick finally hung up, his voice was apologetic. "I'm sorry. Investors in Singapore, different time zone. I need to head to the office early, but I'll be back by dinner time." "Really, I will." He placed a hand on Lily's shoulder gently, but Lily had already lowered her head, focusing intently on the muffins. "Okay, Daddy," she said in a small voice. Camilla offered Nick a sympathetic look, then quietly moved to help Lily prepare a to-go package of the muffins. Nick grabbed one, took a quick bite, and praised the flavor before thanking them both with a regretful smile. Moments later, the front door shut, leaving behind a swirl of cologne and a sense of abrupt emptiness. Lily nibbled on her muffin in silence. After a minute, she turned to Camilla. "Are daddies always busy?" Camilla paused. "Not always, sweetheart. Sometimes life just gives grown-ups a lot of responsibilities all at once." Lily seemed to accept the answer without further protest. She hopped off the stool and padded away to get dressed for school. Camilla felt a tug inside. She wanted to reassure Lily that Nick's love was unwavering, that behind every cancelled plan or missed dinner was a father trying his best. But words might not suffice. Actions would, if Nick could find a balance. Shortly after, Camilla and Lily walked the short distance to Lily's private school, where bright murals decorated the walls and uniformed children trotted in with backpacks half their size. On the front steps, Lily spotted some classmates and promptly ran off, waving goodbye to Camilla without a second glance. It was a typical morning scene, but as Camilla watched Lily integrate into the throng of children, she felt protective. Lily was sweet and eager to please. Camilla wanted to ensure she never lost that quiet sparkle. With Lily safely in class, Camilla had a few free hours until pickup. The rest of her day was spent tidying the penthouse, planning next week's meals, and sorting out Lily's schedule. Soccer practice, a friend's birthday party, a dentist appointment. Around mid-morning, she realized she still had that unspoken question in her mind. How to gently encourage a closer father-daughter bond without overstepping professional lines. By noon, she decided on a small step. She prepared a miniature care package for Nick. a sturdy container of leftover muffins, along with a short note that read, "We missed you at breakfast. Maybe these will keep you going until dinner. C and L." Placing the container into a bag, she slipped out and took the subway downtown. Aurora Tech's headquarters was a sleek marvel of modern design, 50 floors of mirrored windows, the brand's name emblazoned at the top. Camilla approached the reception desk in the expansive lobby. Even the air here smelled expensive, tinged with fresh flowers and coffee. She felt out of place in her casual cardigan, but she steadied herself. "Hi, I'm here to drop something off for Mr. Crawford." The receptionist, whose eyes flickered over Camilla's name badge with mild curiosity, nodded. "He's currently in a meeting, but I can see if his assistant can take it." Camilla hesitated. She didn't want to pull Nick out of anything urgent. "That's fine," she agreed. "It's just a small delivery. No rush." Within minutes, a well-dressed assistant stepped forward to greet Camilla. He carried an air of polite efficiency. "Ms. Johnson, I'm Evan, Mr. Crawford's executive assistant. I'll make sure he receives the package." Camilla felt a ripple of relief. "Thank you. Could you tell him it's from Lily and me, please? Just a little pick-me-up." Evan's professional demeanor softened. "Of course." Camilla turned to leave. But before she made it to the lobby exit, she heard a familiar voice call her name. She glanced back to see Nick striding across the polished floor, eyebrows raised in surprise. A few colleagues in suits parted to let him through. Suddenly, she was aware of the difference in their worlds. His crisp tie and commanding presence, her everyday clothes meant for chasing a 6-year-old around. But Nick seemed oblivious to any perceived mismatch. His face lit with a genuine smile. "Camilla, hey, I didn't know you were stopping by." She offered a slightly flustered smile. "I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to drop off a little snack for you. Thought maybe you hadn't eaten." Nick glanced at the bag in Evan's hand. "Thank you, that's really thoughtful." He leaned in, lowering his voice. "I appreciate it. Days like this, I sometimes forget to grab lunch." Camilla's heart fluttered. "No problem. Lily helped pick the best muffins this morning." Nick exhaled, looking momentarily vulnerable in the middle of his corporate kingdom. "I'm sorry I ran out so quickly today. Tell Lily I'll definitely be home in time for dinner." Camilla nodded. She'll be happy to hear that. For a moment, they stood there, neither quite sure what to say next. Nick's colleagues glanced over, politely curious. Evan cleared his throat from a few steps away, evidently mindful that Nick's schedule was ticking. Nick gently placed a hand on Camilla's shoulder just for a second and whispered, "Thank you again, this means a lot." He turned away, returning to his role as CEO, but not before Camilla noticed the softness in his gaze. She caught her breath and walked out of Aurora Tech, her head buzzing with conflicting thoughts. She was simply the nanny bringing muffins. Yet his expression had said so much more. That evening, true to his word, Nick arrived home by 7. Camilla was sautéing vegetables while Lily arranged silverware. She looked up in delight when she heard the door. "Daddy, you made it!" Nick stooped to gather Lily in his arms, his relief palpable. "I did." His eyes flickered toward Camilla, who stood by the stove trying to focus on dinner but clearly aware of his presence. "Smells great," he remarked, stepping closer. She smiled, stirring the pan. Dinner passed more like a family meal than a business-laden affair. They laughed about Lily's stories from school. Apparently, she was invited to a friend's pizza party on Friday. Nick promised to drive her there himself. Camilla teased Nick about how he'd likely end up wearing more pizza sauce than Lily. The entire exchange felt seamless, easy, as if they'd been doing this for months. After dinner, Lily ran off to color in the living room and Camilla collected the plates. But Nick gently took the plates from her hands. "Let me handle the cleanup tonight," he said. "You cooked." She paused, noticing the sincerity in his eyes. There was no trace of the aloof CEO, no abruptness, just Nick wanting to do something small and ordinary that somehow carried weight in their dynamic. It was a quiet attempt to balance their worlds. She let him have the plates, murmuring thanks before she went to check on Lily. Yet even as she stepped away, she felt Nick's gaze lingering. The evening had a warmth she couldn't name. Somewhere behind that fleeting sense of closeness, a small voice warned her not to get too comfortable. He was her employer, after all, a man still grieving, juggling fatherhood and corporate success. She was the caregiver, not a partner or anything more. But the heart has a way of ignoring logic, especially when faced with honest smiles and a child's laughter weaving them closer. Later that night, as Lily slept soundly and Camilla folded laundry in the hallway, she heard Nick's footsteps approach. He hesitated, the half-folded towels a barrier between them. "Thank you for dinner, and for stopping by the office with those muffins. It was a bright spot in my day." Camilla felt her cheeks warm. "I'm glad it helped." They stood in silence for a moment. There was so much left unspoken. Lily's sadness, Nick's guilt, the gentle current that drew them together. He eventually gave a polite nod and turned toward his bedroom. As he walked away, Camilla watched him go, a quiet longing tugging at her chest. She reminded herself, some lines weren't meant to be crossed. But every day, that line felt hazier, and each shared meal, each silly story, each small kindness, those moments were building a bridge between their hearts, whether they admitted it or not. Another crisp sunrise found Camilla quietly setting up Lily's backpack by the front door. Each day seemed to unfold with a certain routine now, preparing lunch, making sure Lily's homework was neatly packed, planning dinner. Yet beneath the comfort of these daily rhythms, a more complex undercurrent flowed, an awareness between Nick and Camilla that neither openly acknowledged, but both unmistakably felt. Down the hall, Lily's bedroom door was half open. The sound of a cartoon show drifted out, and Camilla could hear Lily humming along to a jingle. Smiling to herself, she walked over and poked her head in. Lily, hair braided in two neat plaits, jumped up from the rug. "Are we leaving soon?" Lily asked, eyes bright. She had that curious mix of anxiousness and excitement children often carry about their day. "In a few minutes," Camilla replied. "Go ahead and put your shoes on, we don't want to be late." Lily nodded and hurried out. Camilla took the opportunity to glance around the room. On Lily's nightstand was a framed photo of Nick and Diana, the wife he'd lost 3 years earlier. Camilla had only ever seen a few pictures of Diana around the penthouse, but this particular photo always caught her eye. A radiant woman in a summer dress, smiling as if the world was full of possibility. Sometimes Camilla wondered if Diana's spirit lingered, if she hovered protectively, ensuring Lily's new nanny handled her precious daughter with care. Tearing herself from that line of thought, Camilla straightened Lily's bedsheets one last time. The day's to-do list buzzed in her mind. Lily's soccer practice after school, picking up groceries for the weekend, maybe tackling the messy supply cupboard next to the laundry room. And, as always, she felt the subtle pull of waiting for Nick's next phone call, next text message, next arrival through the door. She found Lily at the entryway, meticulously tying her shoelaces. "Okay, kiddo, let's head out." They reached the elevator just as Nick stepped out of it. He was holding a bundle of folded newspapers under one arm, phone in hand. Lily beamed, trotting over to greet him. Camilla noticed that Nick's usual tension seemed dialed to a new level. He barely had one foot off the elevator before the phone rang again. "Sorry," he muttered to Lily, offering a quick hug. Then, glancing at Camilla, "I've been up since 5 a.m. dealing with some overseas negotiations." Camilla's gaze flicked to the lines of fatigue etched under his eyes. "Everything okay?" Nick exhaled. "We're in the middle of merging with a smaller tech firm. The CEO is being, let's just say, complicated." He forced a weary smile. "But go on, don't let me hold you two up. Lily, I'll see you later tonight." Lily, adjusting her backpack straps, looked disappointed that their interaction was so brief. "Will you pick me up from soccer?" Nick hesitated. "I'll try. But if I can't, Camilla will bring you home. We'll do something special this weekend, promise." The promise didn't seem to reassure Lily entirely, but she nodded, accepting another quick hug before stepping into the elevator. Camilla offered Nick a small wave, receiving a grateful nod in return. Just like that, the doors slid shut, and he was gone again. On the ride down, Lily stared at the polished walls. "He's always busy," she mumbled, almost to herself. Camilla placed a comforting hand on Lily's shoulder. "He has a lot of responsibilities, but he loves you." Lily said nothing, but her expression softened. Moments later, they stepped onto the busy city sidewalk, merging with the flow of morning commuters. The day's crisp air carried the promise of autumn, and Camilla guided Lily toward her school with practiced ease. After dropping Lily off, Camilla ran a few errands. At the grocery store, she carefully selected fresh produce, recalling Lily's newfound fondness for carrots, thanks to one of Camilla's bunny hop dinnertime games. Once home, she rearranged items in the fridge, humming a soft tune, some old lullaby her mother used to sing. Funny how that melody came back so easily, especially on days when she felt a swirl of emotions about Nick. By mid-afternoon, Camilla decided she'd attempt something fun for dinner: homemade pizza, letting Lily shape her own dough. She glanced at the clock. It was almost time to pick Lily up for soccer. Tidying the kitchen, she put on a light jacket, grabbed Lily's sports gear, and stepped out. The soccer field was a lively sprawl of kids in bright jerseys, parents cheering from the sidelines. Lily dashed over to join her team, shooting Camilla a quick wave. Camilla found a spot among other parents, some glued to their phones, others engrossed in conversation. For half an hour, she watched Lily run up and down the field, chasing the ball with fierce determination, each time glancing back as though hoping to see if Nick had arrived. When he didn't, Camilla's heart tugged. Practice ended, and Lily trudged over, sweaty and a bit crestfallen. "Dad's not coming?" she asked quietly, though it was more of a statement than a question. Camilla hesitated. "He really wanted to. Work must have held him up. We can make that pizza you like when we get home, Lily brightened just a bit. "Can I put pepperoni faces on mine?" "Absolutely," Camilla laughed, relieved at Lily's quick shift in mood. Children were so resilient, she reminded herself. Yet a small voice in her mind echoed, "For how long will Lily's resilience endure this pattern? How many missed practices and hurried mornings before the child's disappointment gave way to something heavier?" They rode a taxi back to the penthouse, Lily chatting about a new friend on the team. By early evening, Lily was kneading pizza dough on the kitchen counter, cheeks flushed with excitement. Camilla showed her how to form a proper crust, sprinkling flour around them both until Lily giggled. Soon they had 2 pizza bases, one for Lily's pepperoni faces, another for Nick and Camilla, topped with fresh veggies and mozzarella. Just as the aroma began to fill the penthouse, the front door opened. Nick entered, a tension line etched across his forehead, but the moment he saw Lily with flour smudged on her cheeks, a tired smile replaced the stress. "You made it," Camilla said, relief evident in her tone. She tried not to sound too eager, but she was genuinely glad. Nick blinked, inhaling the savory air. That smells incredible." "Pizza," Lily announced, as though unveiling a masterpiece. "I made a face on mine. Want to see?" She trotted over, grabbed his hand, and led him toward the kitchen. Camilla felt a quiet sense of satisfaction watching Lily's mood transform at her father's presence. While Lily chattered about her day, Nick caught Camilla's eye across the counter, mouthing a silent, "Thank you." She smiled back, motioning for him to wash up so they could eat. Lily gave a proud demonstration of her pepperoni placement, Nick admiring each step like she'd invented a new art form. Dinner turned into laughter. Lily devoured her pizza with childlike gusto. Nick surprisingly ate 2 slices, praising the sauce. He even mentioned how good it felt to just sit and enjoy a meal with them. Through the banter, Camilla noticed how Nick's posture relaxed, how his voice lost that clipped edge he used in meetings. In moments like these, She saw the father Lily needed, warm, present, funny. But as the table cleared, Nick's phone buzzed from somewhere near the sofa. Camilla watched a subtle tension return to his features as he went to check it. Lily peered at him, resigned, then hopped down from her chair, disappearing into her bedroom. Camilla headed toward the sink with the dishes, hearing Nick's hushed voice in the living room, likely dealing with a sudden crisis at Aurora Tech. She tried to focus on scrubbing pans, forcing the swirl of disappointment aside. She had no right to be upset. Nick's obligations were colossal, and their personal closeness, if it could be called that, was complicated at best. And yet, she couldn't deny that each interruption sparked an internal wave of frustration. Not at Nick, precisely, but at the circumstances pulling him away. Lily reappeared, holding a small craft project. A paper locket with a photo of her and Nick taped inside. She asked Camilla if she could show him. Camilla encouraged her, wiping her hands on a towel, but Lily paused, noticing Nick's intense phone conversation. "He's busy. I'll show him later," she said, crestfallen. Camilla's heart broke a little. She knelt down. "He'll be done soon. Want me to let him know you made something special?" "Maybe," Lily mumbled, hugging the paper locket to her chest. She retreated to her room, evidently reluctant to interfere with what she already believed to be more important matters. When Nick finally ended the call, he realized Lily was gone. "Where's she?" "In her room," Camilla said quietly, finishing the last of the dishes. "She was going to show you something, but she decided to wait." Nick sighed, crossing the kitchen to lean against the counter. "Another meltdown at the office. Our merger is in jeopardy. Someone leaked news, the media's in a frenzy. I can't just shut off my phone, even if I want to." Camilla nodded empathetically. "I know. Lily understands you're busy. She misses you, Nick." He blinked at the sound of his first name on her lips. It wasn't something she often used. The air between them shifted. Yeah, I miss her too," he murmured, rubbing the back of his neck. "And you. Both of you. I mean, the time we spend together. It's been comforting." His shoulders sagged, an unspoken confession weighing on the silence. Camilla's breath caught. She wanted to reach out, but her heart warned caution. He was her boss, still grappling with grief, fatherhood, and an empire to run. "You're doing your best," she said softly, wishing it felt more reassuring. "Lily can see that. Maybe we just find small ways for you two to connect, like scheduling father-daughter time, even if it's short." He considered it, nodding slowly. "That's a good idea. Let me handle a few urgent calls, then I'll go to Lily." Camilla offered a gentle smile. "She'll be happy." Nick walked away, phone already ringing again. As his footsteps faded, she exhaled, recalling the flicker of vulnerability in his gaze moments ago. For a brief second, it felt as though they might speak plainly about the closeness that had grown between them, about how, in bridging the gap between father and child, Camilla had become something more than just the nanny. But duty, or maybe fear, kept them from crossing that threshold. The moment passed as quickly as it arrived, leaving a tremor in her heart. With Lily quietly waiting, Nick locked himself in his office once more. The father in him yearned to throw the phone away, to spend an entire evening reading books with Lily, maybe dancing around the living room like they did on that first night he saw Camilla's graceful moves. But the CEO in him couldn't drop an impending crisis that might cost dozens of people their jobs. Why did success always demand so many sacrifices? He was at war with himself. By the time Nick emerged from his office, a half hour had passed. He found Lily dozing off on the couch, the paper locket resting on her chest. Camilla stood nearby, turning off the overhead lights, using just a lamp's glow to keep the space soft. Nick approached, carefully picking up the homemade locket. Inside was a photo of father and daughter from last Christmas, both wearing matching Santa hats, Lily's grin wide and fearless. A lump formed in his throat. "I wish," he whispered, voice thick with regret, that I could rewind time and be more present." Camilla watched him brush hair from Lily's face. "She's only 6, she said gently. "There's still time, Nick." They exchanged a weighted look in the semi-darkness. Nick's eyes seemed to say so much: gratitude, longing, apology. Camilla's heart pounded. She wanted to tell him he didn't have to do this alone, that she'd help him find that balance, but it wasn't her place to promise such things. Or was it? In the end, Camilla simply smiled, light and reassuring. "Here, let's put her to bed. She'll rest better there." Nick nodded, scooping Lily into his arms. The child stirred for a moment, then snuggled into his shoulder, content. Step by careful step, they carried Lily to her bedroom. Camilla turned down the sheets, and Nick laid her gently on the mattress. For a while, they both stood there, watching Lily's steady breathing, each lost in separate thoughts that converged on one point: this little girl who needed them both. When they finally moved to leave, Nick's hand brushed Camilla's. She froze. In that fleeting second, the hush of Lily's room enveloped them, and the single bedside lamp cast their overlapping shadows. Neither stepped away. A new intensity sparked, one that made Camilla's cheeks burn. She raised her eyes to Nick's, and for an instant, she saw him fighting an internal battle. Then he exhaled softly and drew back. A boundary. There it was again. He walked out into the hallway, Camilla following. She half expected him to speak, to say something about how he felt, how he appreciated her more than words. But Nick only gave a polite nod and disappeared into his room, door clicking shut behind him. The hush that remained seemed to amplify her racing pulse. Standing alone in the corridor, Camilla took a deep breath. She told herself that such closeness was natural under the circumstances. They both cared about Lily. But her heart insisted there was more to it. She could almost feel Diana's photo from Lily's nightstand watching, asking if she was ready to fill that empty space. Could she even consider that? She returned to her own room, flicking off the light, trying to calm her mind. As she lay in bed, the city lights casting faint patterns on the ceiling, she let her thoughts wander to Nick's quiet sorrow, Lily's gentle acceptance, and her own blossoming feelings. There were lines of propriety she shouldn't cross, boundaries that, as an employee, she had to respect. But how many times could two hands brush, two gazes catch, two hearts align in the glow of a child's bedroom lamp before the word boundaries lost its meaning? She didn't know. And maybe she was too tired to care right then. If life had taught her anything, it was that some gifts, like the opening of a child's guarded heart, were too precious to dismiss. She would handle each day, each closeness, one breath at a time. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But for now, drifting off to the lull of distant traffic, Camilla let herself imagine a future where Lily wasn't the only one who found security in Nick's arms, and the quiet ache in her chest told her it might already be too late to turn back. A restless breeze stirred the curtains in Camilla's room as dawn broke, painting the sky in pale lavender. She blinked awake, heart still heavy with the memories of the night before. Those moments in Lily's bedroom, the warmth of Nick's hand against hers, the way he'd looked at her in the half-light. She sat up slowly, hugging her knees. Her emotions felt far too large for the contained life she was living here as a nanny. She gave herself a moment, just one, to exhale the tension and reconcile what was happening in her heart. It was foolish, wasn't it, to let her imagination wander? Nick Crawford had already walked through heartbreak. She couldn't presume to fill that gap. And yet, Lily's affections, the dinners together, the kindness in Nick's eyes that went beyond professional gratitude, there was no denying that something deeper was blossoming between them. But the day beckoned, demanding her focus. She rose, dressed in comfortable leggings and a soft sweater, then headed out to start breakfast. Morning rituals often helped Camilla recenter, pouring a glass of orange juice for Lily, cracking eggs, sprinkling herbs. As the sound of sizzling butter filled the penthouse kitchen, She could pretend life was simple, at least for a short while. At 7 a.m. sharp, Lily padded in, hair a-tangle, wearing her pajamas inside out. Camilla giggled. "Guess you were extra sleepy last night, little one." "Didn't realize," Lily mumbled, rubbing her eyes. "Smells good, though. Are we having scrambled eggs?" Camilla nodded, guiding her gently to the table. "And I made toast with strawberry jam. We'll do something quick and easy today." Lily yawned and plopped onto a chair. "I hope Daddy can eat with us. He said maybe he'd try." Camilla arched an eyebrow, stepping toward the hall. "I'll go check if he's up yet." She made her way to Nick's bedroom door, which was slightly ajar. Light seeped out, and she heard him moving around. She knocked softly. "Nick, breakfast is ready. Lily was wondering if you'd join us." He opened the door, shirt partially unbuttoned, tie draped over a chair. He looked like he'd already been through half a day's worth of stress, face drawn. "Hey," he greeted in a rough voice, glancing at the clock on his nightstand. "I have a conference call in 15 minutes, so I probably can at least grab a plate," Camilla finished gently. She gazed at him, noticing shadows under his eyes. "You didn't sleep much, did you?" He pinched the bridge of his nose. "Maybe 4 hours? Investor panic in Asia? Time zones?" he added in a weary tone. Then, as if remembering the father he aimed to be, he sighed. "But yeah, I can eat something quickly. Thank you." They walked to the kitchen, where Lily brightened at the sight of him. Her grin was luminous. Nick sat down, and Camilla placed a small plate of eggs and toast in front of him. While Lily chattered about her upcoming art project at school, Nick did his best to focus. Camilla refilled his coffee mug, resisting the urge to brush back the unruly lock of hair falling across his forehead. Though Nick's phone vibrated twice, he silenced it without answering. It was a small victory, one that didn't go unnoticed by Lily, who gave a tiny, grateful nod as she chewed her toast. Camilla caught that exchange and felt an unspoken warmth. In these modest, precious intervals, Lily saw that her father was making an effort. But as soon as breakfast ended, Nick pressed a hurried kiss to Lily's cheek and rushed off to log in for the conference call. Lily's shoulders slumped slightly, but she tried to hide it by pushing her plate aside. "I'm done," she announced quietly. Camilla walked Lily to school soon after. On the way, Lily slipped her hand into Camilla's, leaning close as they crossed a busy street. "I hope Daddy's call goes well," she said. "Then maybe he won't be so sad." Camilla gave the small hand a squeeze, tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. "He's doing his best, Lily, and he's so proud of you. Don't ever forget that." By midday, Camilla was back at the penthouse, tidying up the remnants of breakfast, sorting laundry, and reviewing Lily's schedule. The phone on the kitchen counter buzzed. She assumed it was Nick, but upon checking, she saw a text from a number she didn't immediately recognize. "Hey Camilla, it's Becca, your friend from the dance program. Are you free this weekend? I'll be in town." Camilla's heart lifted at the name. Becca was an old friend from dance school days, a spirited confidant who'd known Camilla before she ever set foot in the Crawfords' world. She hesitated, uncertain if she could spare time off. But the notion of reconnecting with someone from her past gave her a surge of excitement. She typed a quick reply. "Yes, would love to catch up. I'll check my schedule, but definitely want to see you." She'd been so immersed in Lily's routine, and, if she was honest, in Nick's orbit, that she barely had time for personal breaks. Maybe seeing Becca would remind her who she was outside this penthouse, someone who once dreamed of joining a small dance company, traveling the world. Camilla read the text again, a flutter of anticipation replacing her usual day-to-day tasks. Late afternoon rolled around, and it was time to pick Lily up from school. When they returned, the doorman announced Nick was still out, not expected until dinner time. Lily offered a resigned nod, then trudged up to change into comfy clothes for the evening. Camilla followed, deciding to turn the post-homework lull into something fun. "How about a little dance session before dinner?" she proposed, meeting Lily in the living room. "We can pick a song and just let ourselves be silly." Lily perked up. "I'm in!" She scrambled for the remote and found a playlist of children's tunes. As a bouncy, upbeat track began, Camilla led Lily through simple steps, spinning, hopping, snapping their fingers. The laughter that erupted from Lily was so pure that Camilla momentarily forgot her own conflicted heart. In that moment, they were just two people dancing like nobody was watching. Yet as they twirled, someone was watching. Nick. He'd come in quietly, carrying his briefcase, and stood near the entry, transfixed by the impromptu living room performance. Lily noticed him first. "Daddy!" She rushed forward, breathless and beaming. "We're dancing. Want to join?" Nick's expression teetered between amusement and vulnerability. His tie was slightly undone, face marked with fatigue. But Lily's invitation was irresistible. He set the briefcase aside and stepped forward, offering his hand. Lily grabbed one side, Camilla the other. Together, they formed a circle and moved to the music, the penthouse filled with giggles. For a fleeting second, it looked and felt like an unbroken family. No sorrow, no pressures, just joy. After a minute, the track ended. Camilla, slightly breathless, wondered if her cheeks were flushed from dancing or from how Nick's hand felt intertwined with hers. She sensed him noticing too. But they separated, each stepping back to give Lily the spotlight. She was about to cue another song when Nick's phone rang. One glance at the screen, and that tension reappeared. "Go ahead, Daddy," Lily said with surprising maturity, stepping aside so he could answer. Camilla watched him walk off to the corner, phone to his ear. Lily glanced up at her, a little shrug. "He tried, right?" Camilla crouched to Lily's level. "He did, and I think he'll try again. He loves you, Lily." The child nodded. "I know, I wish his phone didn't ring all the time." Camilla had no easy answer. She ruffled Lily's hair. "We'll keep dancing anyway." Nick finished the call sooner than usual, returning with an apologetic smile. "Sorry about that. Crisis averted. For now." "We're making tacos for dinner," Camilla said, sensing he might welcome a straightforward topic. "Unless you prefer something else." "Tacos sound perfect," he replied. "I'll help. I'm feeling domestic tonight." So, the three of them ended up in the kitchen, slicing vegetables, grating cheese, browning meat. Nick teased Lily about her generous sprinkling of chili powder, while Lily insisted she was aiming for a spicy surprise. Camilla set the table, watching them bond over small jokes. She realized with a tug of gratitude how far Lily and Nick had come since the day she arrived. Dinner was a lively affair. They laughed about Lily's day at school. Nick regaled them with an anecdote about a clumsy intern at Aurora Tech, and Camilla shared a silly story about a dance rehearsal gone wrong from her past. Eventually, Lily excused herself to the living room to finish a homework assignment, leaving Nick and Camilla lingering over the last bites of guacamole. "Thank you," Nick said, not for the first time, his gaze holding Camilla's, "for always making our home feel warm, alive. It's something we haven't had in a while." She fiddled with her napkin. "It's my job, of course, but I genuinely enjoy it here. Lily's a sweetheart." She hesitated, scanning his face. "And you're not so bad yourself." A ghost of a smile played on his lips. "Am I allowed to say likewise, that I appreciate you more than just as an employee?" Camilla's heart pounded. She swallowed. "Nick!" He set his fork down and drew in a breath, seemingly grappling with words. "I don't want to overstep, but I can't pretend I don't notice how things have changed in the penthouse. You've brought something special." The sincerity in his eyes was undeniable. And not just for Lily, for me. Her pulse rushed in her ears. There it was, the moment she'd subconsciously both feared and yearned for. She paused, feeling the gravity of his admission. "I feel it too," she finally managed. "But I worry about Lily, about crossing lines, about what people might think. Nick's face flickered with conflict. I know. There's no script for how to navigate this. You're my employee, I'm Lily's father, and there's Diana's memory always with us. He pressed a hand to his temple. But the more time I spend with you, the more I care. It's hard to ignore. Camilla looked down at her hands. I understand. I care too. But if we rush this, if it's mishandled, it could hurt Lily, or complicate your life, and mine. Silence hung between them, heavy with possibility and apprehension. Finally, Nick exhaled, reaching to gently cover Camilla's hand with his own. She didn't pull away. Let's be cautious then, he said softly. Step by step. We both care about Lily first. We won't do anything that confuses her or jeopardizes this sense of safety. A wave of relief and longing washed through Camilla. She squeezed his hand back. Yes, step by step. In the background, Lily's pencil scratched on paper, oblivious to the quiet promise being forged at the dinner table. Camilla wondered if they could maintain this delicate dance, a secret understanding that might one day blossom into love, balanced against their responsibilities to a child who'd already lost so much. They cleared plates side by side, hearts pounding. Neither spoke of the future, only of the caution they'd exercise. But their eyes held a new tenderness. When Lily asked for help on a math problem, they both rushed to her side, smiling sheepishly when they realized they'd arrived at once. Later that night, after Lily was tucked in, Nick retreated to his office for a final round of emails. Before heading to bed, Camilla passed by that doorway. She found him at his desk, tie undone, scrolling through a barrage of messages. Sensing her presence, he looked up. For a moment they shared a gentle, silent conversation across the dimly lit space. He lifted a tired hand in greeting. She mirrored the gesture, a soft smile on her lips, before continuing to her room. Alone in the hush of her space, Camilla's thoughts spun. She'd taken a first step into something both exhilarating and terrifying. How would it end? She could only cling to the faint hope that careful honesty might see them through, that Lily's well-being, Diana's memory, and Nick's hectic world might coexist with what was stirring between them. But uncertainty was inevitable. All she could do was meet each new day, each brush of hands, each shared glance, with an open heart. That night she dreamed of dancing in a soft-lit living room, Lily spinning in circles, Nick watching from the edges, eyes brimming with quiet devotion. In the dream, Camilla reached out her hand and Nick stepped forward, joining the gentle waltz that bound them all together. It felt seamless, right, even natural. She woke with a startled flutter in her chest, half afraid that reality would never be so kind. But morning had not yet come, and for a few more hours she let herself believe in a story where love, loss, and second chances could intertwine gracefully, where a single dad CEO could find his footing, a little girl could feel wholly cherished, and a young nanny could dance her way into the heart of a family that needed her just as much as she needed them. The Saturday sun broke over the city's skyline, setting the penthouse windows ablaze in gold. Camilla stirred in bed, gradually tuning in to the weekend hush. No early alarms, no frantic rush to get Lily to school. She let out a long breath, relishing the moment. Her mind drifted to the week's events, those tender moments shared with Nick, the quiet promises, Lily's renewed joy. All of it made her heart flutter with cautious hope. Rising, she slipped into slippers and wandered into the spacious living room. To her surprise, Lily was already up, sprawled on the rug with an art kit, drawing bright shapes and a half-finished unicorn. The child looked up as Camilla approached, beaming. "Morning. I'm drawing a picture to send to my granny. She lives 2 states away," Lily explained. Camilla knelt beside her. "Oh, that's lovely. Your granny will be thrilled, I'm sure. Want any help coloring the background?" Lily nodded, scooting over so Camilla could join. Together they selected soft blues and pinks. As crayons filled the page, Lily took occasional glances at the hallway leading toward Nick's room. "He's still asleep?" she asked in a whisper, as though worried waking him might chase him off. Camilla checked her phone. It was only 8 a.m., luxuriously late by weekday standards. "Let's let him rest a bit. I'm sure he could use the extra sleep." "Okay?" Lily returned her focus to the drawing, carefully adding sparkles around the unicorn's horn. Camilla felt an undercurrent of pride in Lily's artistic dedication. She remembered how shy the girl had been when they first met, reluctant to show her own work. Now here she was, confidently coloring scenes to share with distant relatives. Perhaps it was just a small step, but to Camilla, it signified growth in Lily's spirit, like a flower unfurling in spring. After another 15 minutes of quiet coloring, Camilla rose, stretching. "I'll go start breakfast. Any requests?" "Pancakes," Lily piped up. "With chocolate chips?" "Sounds like a plan." As Camilla prepared batter in the kitchen, she replayed the vow she and Nick had made. To move carefully, step by step, acknowledging their growing closeness without rushing into anything that could confuse Lily or overshadow the household's equilibrium. A gentle flutter stirred in her stomach. She tried to keep her excitement in check, reminding herself of the delicate boundaries they were navigating. Just as the first batch of pancakes sizzled on the griddle, Nick emerged, hair tousled, wearing a casual t-shirt and drawstring pants, worlds away from his usual crisp suits. He appeared younger, more relaxed. Spotting Lily on the floor finishing her drawing, he walked over, ruffled her braids affectionately, then lifted his gaze to Camilla. "Morning," he said, his voice still rough with sleep. "Morning," Camilla replied, turning a pancake with a spatula. "Hope you're hungry." His eyes flicked to the stove, a smile forming. "Starving. It smells incredible." She couldn't help returning his smile. "Chocolate chip pancakes, courtesy of Lily's request." From her spot on the rug, Lily grinned. "You can have some of mine, Daddy. I might have made too many chocolate chips swirl in there." Nick gave a playful mock gasp. "Too many chocolate chips? That's not possible." He crossed the living room to sit at the kitchen table. The gentle banter among them felt comfortable, almost like they'd been a family for far longer than a few months. Before long, the table was set with plates of fluffy pancakes, fresh fruit, and a pitcher of orange juice. Nick reached for Lily's plate, adding a swirl of whipped cream on top. Camilla took her seat. For a brief moment, she hesitated. Memories of her own childhood rushing in. The modest kitchen, her mother's laughter, her father's affectionate scolding about too much sugar. Those days were gone, but she felt a reminiscent warmth now, living a new chapter in the Crawford home. "So," Nick began, looking between Camilla and Lily, "what's the plan for this fine Saturday? Anything special you'd like to do, Lily?" Lily bounced in her chair, sending a chocolate chip tumbling onto the table. "Camilla said we might do something outdoors if it's not too cold. Maybe the park? I want to feed ducks. And then maybe watch a movie later." Nick glanced at Camilla. "Sounds like a good day. I have some errands, but I could move them around. I'd love to join you two at the park, if that's okay." He directed the last part to Camilla, eyebrows raised slightly. Camilla set down her fork, trying to appear at ease despite her quickening pulse. "Of course, we'd love for you to come." Lily giggled, already envisioning the ducks. Yes, Daddy, you have to see them. They're so funny when they waddle around." Nick laughed, wiping syrup from Lily's chin. "Then it's a date," he said, the simple word date sending a subtle tremor through Camilla's chest. In a single breath, he added, a family outing, right?" Her lips curved in a faint smile. "Right." By late morning, they found themselves strolling through a sprawling city park. Amber leaves carpeted the pathways, marking the arrival of fall. Lily ran ahead, skipping over piles of foliage, plastic bag of breadcrumbs in hand, determined to find the pond. Nick and Camilla followed at a leisurely pace, occasionally exchanging soft glances that spoke volumes more than their polite conversation. Eventually, Lily located her target, a small lagoon teeming with ducks. She trotted to the water's edge, tossing crumbs. The ducks quacked, diving in for the treat. Nick and Camilla stood behind her side by side, the crisp breeze tugging at their jackets. "I'm glad you could join us," Camilla said quietly, glancing up at him. He inhaled, letting the morning air calm his mind. "Me too. Feels good to slow down and just be here." She nodded, warm satisfaction flooding her chest. Lily's laughter as a duck nipped at a floating crumb was like music. A few passers-by paused to watch the scene, some smiling at Lily's unrestrained delight. Nick lowered his voice. "You have a way of making ordinary moments special. I want you to know that." Camilla's cheeks warmed. "I'm just being me, but thank you. I appreciate that." He reached for her hand, then seemed to remember Lily or passers-by might notice. Instead, he gave a nearly imperceptible brush of his fingers against hers and then slipped them into his coat pockets. The subtlety of it tugged at Camilla's heart. Neither of them wanted to jeopardize Lily's sense of stability by being too open about their unspoken closeness. Not yet. After the ducks were thoroughly fed, Lily sprinted off to a nearby playground, squealing when she spotted the tall slide. Nick and Camilla trailed behind, watching her attempt the monkey bars. The child's unbridled joy was contagious, and soon Nick was guiding Lily through each bar, cautioning her not to let go. Camilla captured the moment on her phone, snapping a series of playful shots. "That might be my new favorite photo," she admitted, showing Nick the picture of him holding Lily by the waist, mid-laugh. "She looks so happy." Nick stared at it, eyes softening. "You're good at capturing these. You should send that to me. I want to print it." Camilla promised she would. For a second, she imagined how that photo might end up framed somewhere in the penthouse, a testament to how far Lily and Nick had come since Diana's passing. She swallowed the surge of emotion. They spent a good hour at the playground before heading to a small cafe near the park's entrance. Tucked into a corner booth, Lily sipped hot chocolate, swirling whipped cream with her spoon, while Nick and Camilla enjoyed cappuccinos. Sunlight filtered in through large glass windows, highlighting the swirl of steam off their cups. "This is nice," Lily said dreamily, leaning against Nick's arm. "Mommy and I used to come here, but we never sat in this booth. We usually sat over there by the pastry case." Camilla's gaze flicked to Nick, concerned about how Lily's mention of her mom might affect him. But Nick simply nodded, a soft sadness in his expression. "I remember. She liked the lemon tarts." He offered Lily a small smile. "I'm glad we came today, though, with Camilla." Camilla's throat tightened. Lily spoke so candidly of her mother, yet the child seemed okay. Fond, not devastated. Nick's acceptance also felt tender. They were learning to let Diana's memory coexist with new experiences. When cups were empty and Lily had eaten her fill of whipped cream, they ventured back to the penthouse. Lily disappeared to her bedroom to pen the message on her drawing for Granny. Meanwhile, Nick retreated briefly to the study, presumably to manage some pressing matter from Aurora Tech. Left to her own devices, Camilla decided it was a good time to slip into her room and check messages. She remembered her friend Becca's text from the day before. She tapped out a quick message. "Hey, I can do Sunday afternoon if that works. Let me know where you'd like to meet up." Almost instantly, Becca replied, "Yes, let's do that coffee shop near your place. I can't wait to see you." Camilla felt a spark of anticipation. It would be good to reconnect with someone from her life before the Crawfords, to talk openly, though she wasn't sure how much she'd share about the complicated feelings developing here. Still, she missed having that external perspective. A gentle knock on her door startled her. She looked up to see Nick peeking in, one hand braced against the doorframe. "Hey," he said quietly. "Sorry, I didn't mean to intrude." She tucked her phone away. "No problem. Everything okay?" He stepped inside, glancing around as if to confirm they were alone. "Just wanted to say thank you for this morning. For..." letting me be part of that. Sometimes I worry Lily will always compare any new memories to what she had with Diana. I'm scared I'll come up short. Camilla rose from the bed, crossing to stand by him. You won't. Lily adores you. It's clear she's healing. Slowly, but genuinely. You're not replacing her mother. You're moving forward with Lily in a way that honors Diana's memory. Nick exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I hope so. After a pause, he added, also about us. I just want to be sure you're comfortable. We can't exactly define it yet, but I don't want you feeling uncertain. She placed a reassuring hand on his forearm. I'm okay. Nervous, yes. But I trust that we're both doing this for the right reasons. Lily comes first. Always. And we'll figure out the rest. He looked down at her, eyes brimming with a quiet gratitude. For a fleeting moment, the intensity in his expression made her wonder if he might lean in. She found herself holding her breath. But then footsteps padded down the hallway, Lily's voice calling, Daddy, where are you? Nick stepped back. We're in here, he called, his tone shifting to paternal warmth. Camilla lowered her hand, heart beating fast, and turned as Lily entered, clutching her newly finished drawing. Daddy, can we mail this today? I want Granny to get it soon. Nick nodded. Let's do it. We'll stop by a post office box on our way out later. He walked Lily out of the room, glancing over his shoulder one last time at Camilla. She saw the regret of an unspoken moment pass between them. Then he vanished into the hall, leaving her to close the door gently and lean against it, emotions swirling. At dinner that evening, the mood remained comfortable, like a trio forging simple joys. They ate leftover stew Camilla had prepared earlier in the week. Then Lily insisted they watch a family-friendly movie. Nick settled on the couch, Lily at his side, Camilla perched at the other end. Throughout the film, Lily made commentary about silly scenes. Nick chuckled, and Camilla felt almost normal. But she was acutely aware of Nick's presence, the hush in the penthouse whenever Lily's laughter died down, the subtle tension that lingered whenever their eyes met. In the quiet after Lily's bedtime, Camilla retreated to her room again. She found herself texting Becca more details for tomorrow's meetup. She needed that conversation, needed to share how her life had evolved in ways she never anticipated. She typed, It's been a crazy few months, working for this family. I'm learning so much about them and about myself. Can't wait to fill you in. She stopped short of admitting her complicated feelings for Nick. Some truths needed to be spoken face to face. As she set her phone aside, Camilla stared at her reflection in the small vanity mirror. She was, by all accounts, a young woman forging a career path, originally hoping to combine childcare with her background in dance. Yet everything had taken a deeper, more personal turn. She saw herself as Lily's confidant, Nick's quiet ally, and a friend to a family once fractured by grief. She also saw the flicker of something more in her own eyes, the hope that real love might be possible, even with the complexities that came attached. She undressed and slipped under the covers, a hush enveloping the penthouse. Through the walls she could sense Nick still awake, perhaps reading emails, or maybe just lost in thought. Lily's nightlight cast a faint glow in the hallway, a silent guardian for the child's dreams. Outside, city lights glimmered, indifferent to the dramas unfolding in people's hearts. Camilla closed her eyes. She pictured them all dancing again in the living room, no phone calls, no urgent interruptions, just the swirl of soft music and laughter. A fantasy, perhaps, but sometimes fantasies held seeds of what might one day be real. In the meantime, she resolved to let each moment guide her, to keep Lily's well-being at the forefront, and to stay true to the gentle understanding she and Nick had found, an understanding that might yet grow into something profound. As sleep claimed her, she barely heard the distant click of Nick's door opening and closing, footsteps crossing the hallway. If there was one certainty she clung to, it was that Lily, safely nestled in dreams, remained their compass. Whatever tomorrow brought, Camilla hoped it would lead them all toward healing, trust, and the promise of a life no longer overshadowed by loss. Sunday afternoon arrived with clouds drifting across a pale blue sky. It was Camilla's scheduled day off, and she planned to meet her old friend Becca at a small coffee shop a few blocks away. After a morning of helping Lily with a craft project and making sure Nick had everything he needed for his own errands, Camilla slipped out the door, heart thrumming with anticipation for a glimpse of her life outside the penthouse walls. She walked at a brisk pace, the crisp autumn air refreshing against her cheeks. A part of her felt lighter, as though the simple act of heading somewhere alone reminded her she was more than a nanny. She was still Camilla Johnson, with hopes, dreams, and friendships of her own. When she reached the cafe, she spotted Becca immediately. A petite woman with a pixie haircut dyed electric pink, wearing a denim jacket embellished with pins of dancers in various poses. She was perched at a window seat, fiddling with her phone. As soon as she saw Camilla, she sprang up, arms wide. "Cam!" Becca cried, rushing forward. They embraced tightly, the warmth of old friendship casting aside any months of separation. "You look amazing, so grown up and radiant. I've missed you." Camilla laughed, feeling a rush of affection. "I've missed you too. Love the hair, by the way." She motioned to the pink hue. "Last time I saw you, it was bright green, right?" Becca rolled her eyes playfully. "I decided pink was more me for now. Come on, let's grab coffee. We have so much to catch up on." They claimed the small table by the window, ordering cappuccinos and pastries. The cafe's ambiance buzzed with light conversation, the soft hiss of an espresso machine in the background. Becca started chattering about her latest dance gigs, her part-time job teaching at a community center, and the occasional audition she still pursued. Eventually, she paused, leaned forward. "Enough about me. I want to hear everything about your nanny job. You said you're living with the family, right? Is it as fancy as it sounds?" Camilla sipped her coffee, choosing her words carefully. "I work for the Crawfords. The dad is a CEO. The place is, well, yeah, it's incredible. High-rise penthouse, city views, everything sleek and modern. His daughter, Lily, is 6. She's sweet, shy at first, but she's opened up a lot." Becca's eyes gleamed. "Ooh, a CEO? That must be intense. Bet you're running around keeping things in order." Camilla nodded, a smile playing on her lips. "Yes, there's a lot to do. School runs, meals, schedules. But it's more than just tasks. Lily lost her mom a few years ago, so there's emotional care too." Becca's expression softened. "That must be hard on both of them. How's the dad coping?" That question lingered in the air, loaded. Camilla traced the rim of her coffee mug. She felt an urge to confide in Becca, but also a pang of caution. "He's dedicated to Lily but has a demanding job. He's trying to balance it all. We've gotten close, I guess, because I'm with them every day, helping Lily heal, stepping in where I can." Becca's brows lifted. "Close, huh? Like you mean, oh." She grabbed Camilla's wrist gently. "You and the boss? Is there something happening?" Camilla's heart kicked up. She glanced around the cafe, ensuring no one was eavesdropping. "We haven't defined anything, but yes, there's an attraction. We're being cautious, especially for Lily's sake." Becca gave a low whistle. "That's big. Does he feel the same?" Camilla hesitated, recalling the delicate confessions, the gentle brushes of hands, the glances that spoke volumes. "He does," she finally said softly. "We both worry about boundaries, about how it might affect Lily. But it's become undeniable." Becca exhaled, nodding understandingly. "Wow. So you're basically living in a romantic drama meets nanny situation. How's Lily reacting, or does she know?" "She doesn't know we have feelings for each other. She just sees us getting along, co-parenting, sharing jokes. I think she's happier now that her dad's more present. We haven't wanted to confuse her, though. She already lost her mother. We have to be sure this is real and stable before we do anything more public." Becca reached across the table, squeezing Camilla's hand. I get it. You're smart to be careful. But girl, you deserve happiness too. It's not wrong if you and he have found something special, as long as Lily is safe and supported. Camilla relaxed a fraction, grateful for the validation. She realized how much she'd needed a friend's perspective. It's complicated, but I care about him. And Lily, of course. They both matter to me. That's obvious, Becca said, smiling warmly. You're practically glowing when you talk about them. Just promise me you'll guard your heart. Office romances or household romances can be tricky. Camilla chuckled ruefully. Office romances times 1,000, yeah. I promise. We're trying to handle it carefully. Thank you for letting me unload all that. Becca waved it off. Any time. Let's change the subject for a sec. Tell me about your dancing. Still practicing? Camilla shook her head, a hint of regret. Not as much as I want. Taking care of Lily, planning meals, organizing stuff. It's a full-time thing. I do dance with Lily sometimes, small routines to keep her engaged. But I haven't been in a proper studio for ages. Becca pouted dramatically. We need to fix that. Dancing is part of your soul, Cam. Don't let it slip away. Camilla's gaze fell to the table. I know. Maybe I'll try to find a class or something on my off days. Life's just been so centered on Lily and Nick. They talked for another hour, drifting between light-hearted memories of dance school and more serious reflections on how life had changed. Becca insisted on paying for their coffees, refusing Camilla's polite protest. You can treat me next time, maybe bring your fancy CEO friend, she joked, prompting Camilla to roll her eyes, cheeks flushing. Outside, the sky had grown overcast, a cool wind picking up. They embraced once more on the sidewalk, promising not to let months pass before their next visit. As Becca turned away, Camilla took a moment to breathe in the city air, reacquainting herself with independence. She felt recharged, carrying Becca's support in her heart. By early evening, Camilla returned to the penthouse. She wasn't sure if Lily and Nick would be home yet. He'd mentioned a potential meeting. But as she stepped inside, a rush of savory smells greeted her. Tomato sauce, garlic, herbs. The living room lights were on, and she heard light music drifting from the kitchen. She set her purse down and peeked around the corner. Lily was helping Nick chop vegetables for what appeared to be pasta. Flour dusted the counters, a sauce simmered on the stove, and Lily perched on a stool wearing an oversized apron. Nick, in rolled-up sleeves, looked up as Camilla entered. "Hey, you're back," he said, smiling in relief. "We decided to cook tonight." "Well, more like Lily insisted we do a homemade dinner to surprise you." Lily beamed, brandishing a wooden spoon. "Daddy doesn't know everything about cooking, so I had to teach him some of your tricks, like cutting onions without crying." Camilla laughed softly, stepping forward to inspect their progress. "That's quite a meal you've got going. Pasta sauce from scratch. I'm impressed." Nick shrugged, a playful glint in his eye. "We're not as good as you, but hopefully it's edible." Lily hopped down and ran to Camilla, giving her a quick hug around the waist. "Where'd you go today? I missed you." Camilla's heart softened. "I met a friend for coffee, but I'm happy to be home now. How was your day?" "Oh, Daddy took me to a bookstore. We got a new story to read tonight, and then we did this." She waved a hand at the cooking station as if unveiling a masterpiece. Camilla noted that Lily's eyes shone with contentment. It was evident Nick had devoted his day to her, something that warmed Camilla's core. A wave of gratitude washed through her. This father-daughter bond was growing stronger by the day. Over dinner, they shared lively conversation. The sauce was indeed edible, delicious in fact, though Lily took credit for the secret herbs. Camilla told them a bit about her coffee with Becca, omitting the more personal confessions. Nick listened with genuine interest, occasionally shooting glances that made Camilla's heart flutter. Later, Lily insisted on showing Camilla the new children's book they'd purchased about a girl who learned ballet in a magical dance studio. Nick offered to handle the dishes so Camilla could join Lily in the living room. She settled onto the couch while Lily flipped through the pages, pointing out the whimsical illustrations. Halfway through, Lily paused, her little face crinkling in thought. "Camilla, did you ever want to be a famous dancer, like the girl in the story?" Camilla recalled the conversation with Becca, how she'd once aspired to professional dance. "Yes, actually," she admitted quietly. "I trained for years and it was my dream. But then life took me on a different path." Lily tilted her head. "Do you miss it?" Camilla smiled wistfully, brushing a hand over Lily's braids. "Sometimes. But I also love what I do now, looking after you, helping your dad. I still dance here and there, though not on a big stage." "Maybe one day you'll still get to dance on a stage," Lily offered, bright-eyed. "Can I watch if you do?" Camilla's heart constricted with affection. "Yes, sweetheart, of course. You can be my special guest." Lily giggled and continued reading. Moments later, Nick ambled in, drying his hands on a dish towel. He lingered near the couch, observing them, a tenderness in his expression. When Lily finished the story, she hopped up and patted his arm. "Daddy, can we have dessert? We've been so good," she pleaded. Nick chuckled. "I think we have ice cream in the freezer, 1 small scoop each. How about that?" He and Lily made a playful dash to the kitchen, leaving Camilla smiling after them. She reflected on how these domestic scenes, once unimaginable for Nick after Diana's passing, were becoming routine. She felt like she belonged here, weaving herself gently into the fabric of their lives. Shortly after, Lily declared bedtime, yawning dramatically. Camilla accompanied her upstairs, tucking her in, though Lily insisted on waiting for Nick to give a goodnight kiss, too. While Lily snuggled under the covers, Nick arrived, kneeling by the bed to whisper a final story snippet. Camilla quietly retreated to the doorway, giving them space. The hush in that room, filled with Nick's gentle murmurs, made her eyes sting with emotion. Eventually, Nick emerged, carefully closing Lily's door. He found Camilla still in the hallway, arms folded, lost in thought. Their gazes met, and Camilla saw the deep gratitude in his eyes. In the soft glow of the corridor light, she stepped forward. "Another good day," she remarked, voice low. Nick nodded, leaning against the wall. "Thanks to you, as always. I feel like I'm relearning how to be a father every day." "You're doing a great job," she murmured. "Lily's flourishing." He sighed, looking momentarily vulnerable. "It's because she feels safe. You give her that. I don't know if I can ever repay you for it." She shook her head gently. "It's not a transaction, Nick. I care about both of you. That's enough." Their eyes locked, tension simmering. Her heart thundered, recalling the conversation with Becca, how life had steered her here, into the arms of a grieving father. The closeness between them had grown so organically it felt almost inevitable. Stepping forward, Nick brushed a light hand against her forearm. "You said we're taking it slow," he whispered. "But sometimes, I wonder if I can keep my feelings in check. I see you with Lily, with your kindness and warmth. Every day I care more." Her chest tightened. "I know, I feel it too, but we have to be sure." He stopped her with a gentle nod, understanding. "We will be. Lily's stability comes first. Still, He hesitated, voice faltering. "I can't help wanting more." A tremor ran through Camilla. She swallowed, glancing at Lily's closed door. "I get it, I do. There are moments I dream about being by your side openly, but let's stay this course for Lily's sake. She's happy and I don't want to risk confusion." Nick leaned closer, eyes full of unspoken promises. "Agreed. Thank you for trusting me. Us." Camilla's breath caught. She ached to close the distance, to rest her head against his shoulder, let him hold her for real, but she simply offered a soft smile and backed away, turning toward her own bedroom. "Good night, Nick." "Good night, Camilla." Behind the safety of her closed door, she pressed a hand to her thudding heart. The weekend had only intensified the closeness and made her more aware of how entwined their worlds had become. The vow to move slowly felt both reassuring and maddening. She wanted to leap forward, to see if their connection was strong enough to build a future, but she was too aware of Lily's fragile heart, too aware of how quickly scandal could erupt in a setting like this, with the press always hungry for stories about a wealthy CEO's personal life. For now, she told herself, she'd hold on to the small gestures. The family meals, the park visits, the nighttime hush when they exchanged tender glances in the hallway. She'd treasure each second until the time was right, if it ever truly would be. And as she drifted to sleep, she imagined them all dancing side by side in a life free of fear. Monday morning arrived with a jolt as Nick's alarm blared before sunrise. He groaned, fumbling to silence his phone, then rubbed his eyes as he remembered the jam-packed schedule awaiting him at Aurora Tech. Despite the pull of drowsiness, a subtle sense of optimism flickered in his chest. Weekends with Lily, and increasingly with Camilla, were infusing his life with something he hadn't felt in years: warmth that stretched beyond corporate success. He rose, quickly dressed in a tailored suit, and stepped into the hallway. As he passed Lily's room, he noticed the door was already ajar. Soft light spilled out into the hallway, accompanied by hushed voices. Poking his head in, he saw Camilla perched on the bed, helping Lily tie her shoelaces for the day. Lily's hair was done in neat cornrows with colorful beads at the ends, a style Camilla had introduced that week. Nick's gaze softened at the sight, something tight in his chest loosening. "Good morning," he said, voice still thick with sleep. "You two are up early." Camilla glanced up, smile bright but gentle. "Morning. Lily wanted to try a new hairstyle, so we got started before the rush." Lily beamed and hopped off the bed. "Look, Daddy, I rattled the beads and they made music." Nick knelt, touching one bead softly. "They're beautiful," he said, meeting Camilla's eyes in an unspoken thanks. The gesture wasn't lost on either adult. "But I have to leave soon, big day at the office. Will you be okay getting to school?" Lily nodded. "Yes, Camilla and I always do it. It's fun." Nick glanced at his watch and stood up, smoothing his jacket. He hesitated, torn between rushing out the door and lingering to share a few more minutes with them. In the end, duty won. "I'll be back around dinner, hopefully. Lily, I'll try to read you a bedtime story if the meeting doesn't run late." "All right," Lily said softly, fiddling with her new braids. Nick offered a quick smile to Camilla, quiet, meaningful, then hurried out. The echo of the penthouse door shutting left a hush in its wake. Lily exhaled, picking at a bead. "He's busy again. I wish he didn't have so many meetings." Camilla wrapped an arm around Lily's shoulders. "Me too, but he'll be thinking about you. He always does." With that, Camilla guided Lily downstairs for breakfast. They talked excitedly about the hairstyle, about Lily's upcoming art class, and about the new library books waiting for them in the evening. Yet in the back of Camilla's mind, she replayed the subtle exchange with Nick. Each day they balanced on a delicate line, wanting to show affection yet remaining mindful of Lily's emotional landscape. Once Lily was off to school, Camilla returned to the penthouse. She planned to tidy up quickly and then carve out a sliver of time to practice a few dance stretches. Her friend Becca's reminder about not losing her passion still rang in her ears. The living room with its open floor space was perfect. She put on soft music from her phone, letting her body settle into the rhythm. She started with gentle warm-ups, then drifted into a simple contemporary routine she remembered from her college days. For a few precious minutes, she found that blissful state dancers often describe: the mind quiet, the body flowing, emotion channeled through each move. When the track ended, she stood there breathing hard, a sheen of sweat on her brow. She felt alive, invigorated, yet also bittersweet, because she missed dancing like this regularly. Then a voice startled her from behind. "That was beautiful. I didn't want to interrupt. Camilla spun around to see Nick standing in the entryway, tie loosened, expression rapt. Her heart lurched. She grabbed her phone to pause the music, cheeks flushing. I thought you were at the office. He let out a sheepish laugh. Forgot some paperwork. Came back and, well, I saw you dancing. You're good. Really good. Heat spread across her face. Thank you. I was just messing around, honestly. Nick stepped forward, setting a stack of folders down on a nearby console. Messing around or not, that was mesmerizing. His gaze flickered with admiration. Then he cleared his throat. Sorry if I embarrassed you. I didn't mean to spy. Camilla's pulse hammered, but she forced a small smile. It's fine. I was about to get back to chores. He hesitated, obviously reluctant to leave. You know, you shouldn't lose that part of yourself. You're dancing. It brings you joy, right? She nodded slowly. It does. But with everything, I sometimes push it aside. Nick's expression softened. Maybe we can figure out a way for you to do more of it. Lily loves dancing too. It could be something we build into her schedule or your schedule. I don't want you to feel like your dreams have to vanish because you're helping us. Camilla blinked at his earnestness. Then she felt a gentle pang. He cared about her aspirations, not just the care she provided. I appreciate that, she murmured. We'll see. He nodded, glancing at his watch. Right. I really do have to go now. But I'm glad I forgot those papers. A crooked grin tugged at his lips, and before turning he added, also, keep dancing. You're too talented to let that slip away. With that, Nick left again, leaving her standing in the silent living room, heart pounding. Her mind whirled about how, even in the midst of corporate chaos, he noticed her needs. That single glimpse felt more intimate than any grand declaration could. She exhaled, knowing she couldn't let those stolen moments cloud her focus entirely. Lily needed her. Nick needed her steady presence. If a deeper relationship were ever to bloom, it had to be nurtured gradually and responsibly. The rest of the day was relatively calm. Camilla picked Lily up from school, the child bouncing on her heels as she described a new art project. They stopped by a nearby market for fresh fruit and vegetables. While browsing apples, Lily insisted on picking some for Nick, the reddest ones, certain he'd like their sweetness. Camilla chuckled, enjoying Lily's enthusiasm. Back at the penthouse, they unpacked groceries together. Lily tackled a simple math worksheet while Camilla prepared dinner. Time slipped by. Around 6 p.m., Lily glanced at the clock anxiously. Daddy said he'd be home for dinner, she remarked, the faintest crease of worry in her brow. Camilla offered reassurance. He'll make it. Let's set the table together, okay? Sure enough, 6:15, the door clicked open and Nick rushed in, tie askew but face lit with relief. I made it, he announced, dropping his briefcase by the door. Lily jumped into his arms, squealing in excitement. Camilla's smile bloomed at the sight, father and daughter cherishing an arrival many families took for granted. As they settled for dinner, Lily insisted on telling Daddy's daily story, recapping her day at school in dramatic detail. Nick listened intently, chuckling at the comedic exaggerations. Camilla watched them fondly, heart brimming with quiet content. For a few minutes, the conversation drifted to whether they'd plan a small getaway for the upcoming weekend, maybe a short drive out of the city to a nature reserve, giving Lily a chance to see some autumn foliage. That sounds lovely, Camilla offered softly, though a swirl of nerves danced in her stomach. An overnight trip, if it happened, would place them in even closer quarters. She wasn't entirely sure if that was wise, but a part of her yearned for it. Nick caught her eye. We'll figure out details. No pressure, he said, as though sensing her apprehension. Lily bounced in her chair, already dreaming of scenic trails and leaf piles to jump in. After dinner, Lily darted off to her room to finish a coloring page, leaving Nick and Camilla to clear plates. In the kitchen, The hush was more charged than usual. She handed him a soapy dish, and their fingers brushed under the faucet's warm stream. A spark jumped, visible in the quick flick of his gaze. "Any updates on your dance practice?" he asked lightly, remembering the morning. Camilla shrugged. "I just squeezed in some stretching. Nothing big." "You should do more," Nick said, voice gentle but insistent. "I can see how it lights you up." She let out a breath. "I will try to find the time. It's easier said than done." "I can help," he added. "Carve out time in Lily's schedule for an art or reading hour while you practice. Or even, we can watch if you want." A trace of humor and sincerity mingled in his tone. Camilla felt a flutter of surprise. "Maybe. Let me think about it. I do miss it terribly." She placed the last plate in the drying rack, then turned. Nick was close now, their bodies separated by mere inches in the narrow kitchen. Her pulse quickened. For a moment, neither moved, the swirling heat of the day's tension culminating in this quiet moment. She didn't dare glance toward Lily's room, but an awareness of the child lingered in the back of her mind. She braced herself to step away, to keep that boundary, yet her feet stayed rooted. Nick cleared his throat softly. "Thank you for everything, Camilla. You make this place feel alive. Lily, me, we're lucky to have you." Her eyes misted, though she managed a soft laugh. "I'm lucky too. I love being here. You two have become, well, you feel like my family." Emotion flickered across Nick's face, a shadow of longing and relief. He inched closer, still not crossing that invisible line but letting their shared breath be the only air between them. "It feels that way for me too," he whispered. They stood in hushed understanding until Lily's voice called from down the hall, "Camilla, Daddy, I need help picking colors for my picture." Nick exhaled, stepping back with a wry smile. "We'd better help the artist." Camilla nodded, heart thudding, and followed him toward Lily's room. As she walked, she marveled at how these small exchanges, washing dishes, brushing hands, meeting each other's eyes, could hold so much more weight than any grand gesture. They'd chosen caution, but the bond was undeniably blossoming. Inside Lily's room, they found her sprawled on the floor, crayons scattered. She insisted each adult pick one color to use. Nick chose green, Camilla chose purple. Together they filled in the outline of a cat wearing a silly hat, Lily giggling at their artistic attempts. The house was warm with the glow of simple togetherness. That night, after Lily was asleep, Camilla lingered in her own room, mind buzzing. She recalled the morning dance she'd thought was private, the tension in the kitchen, the honest confessions. Their closeness was an open secret, a promise that grew bolder each day. Yet they both remained steadfast. Lily's well-being came first. She flicked off the lamp, letting darkness embrace her. In the next room, Nick was likely finishing a round of emails, thinking about Lily's future, about corporate deals, and maybe, just maybe, about her. The thought gave Camilla solace. Tomorrow would be another step in this delicate dance. And for now, she was content to let the rhythm guide her, trusting that, with patience and care, something beautiful and enduring could emerge from the sparks they dared not fully ignite. Tuesday morning dawned gray and dreary, with a light drizzle tapping against the penthouse's expansive windows. Camilla stood in the kitchen, sipping her tea, mentally mapping out the day. Lily had school until mid-afternoon. After that, she needed to pick up new art supplies for a class project. Nick would be in and out of meetings. He'd mentioned a lunch appointment with a potential investor, just another busy day in the Crawford household. Her eyes drifted to the large window. The city below looked muted, skyscrapers cloaked in low-hanging clouds. She thought of the conversation she and Nick had shared the night before while washing dishes. His vow to help her dance again, his quiet, insistent words about how she lit up when she was doing what she loved. A small thrill curled in her belly. She resolved to find at least 15 minutes today to practice a few moves, Or maybe just let Lily join her in the living room for an impromptu dance game. Her musings ended as Lily pranced into the kitchen, still in pajamas, wearing mismatched socks. She glanced out at the rain and frowned. "Camilla, it's so gray outside. Does that mean we can't do anything fun?" Camilla chuckled, ruffling Lily's hair. "Rain can't stop us. We can still have fun indoors. Plus, you have school, remember?" Lily's face twisted into a dramatic pout. "School is okay, but I like weekends better." Camilla sympathized. "I know the feeling, kiddo. Tell you what, maybe we'll bake something after you finish your homework this afternoon. Cookies, brownies, you choose." A flash of excitement replaced Lily's pout. "Brownies with sprinkles? Deal." That decided, Lily ate breakfast quickly and hurried off to dress for school. Camilla prepared her lunchbox, smiling at the thought of brownies and a cozy, rainy afternoon. Sometimes those little motherly tasks, packing lunches, planning treats, reminded her of the nurturing role she'd stepped into, one that transcended a standard nanny arrangement. She poured as much care into these actions as she would for her own child if she had one. She shook off the pang of wistfulness. Lily wasn't hers, not officially, and Nick was still her employer. Yet each day made it harder to deny that love in some form had blossomed here, a love that was both maternal toward Lily and a tentative romantic stirring toward Nick. Moments later, the elevator chimed, and Nick stepped out in a charcoal suit, hair neatly combed despite the early hour. Lily came bounding from the hallway, greeting him with a bright, "Daddy!" She adjusted her backpack straps, waiting for him to acknowledge her. "Morning, sweetheart," Nick said, stooping to give Lily a quick hug. Turning to Camilla, he offered a warm, if slightly reserved, smile. "Good morning to you, too." Camilla reciprocated the smile. "I've got her lunch ready. Just remember her raincoat. It's drizzling." "Right, thanks." He handed Lily a small umbrella he'd brought along. "And you? Any plans while she's at school?" Camilla gave a small shrug, trying to sound casual. "A few errands. Might sneak in a little dance practice if the living room's free." Nick's eyes flickered with approval. "Do it. You deserve that time." They lingered for a beat, an undercurrent of understanding passing between them, until Lily tugged Nick's sleeve. "Let's go, Daddy, or I'll be late." With a soft chuckle, Nick nodded. He gently squeezed Camilla's shoulder, a silent gesture of goodwill, then guided Lily toward the door. "I can drop you off at school on my way to work." Camilla followed to the doorway, exchanging a last wave with Lily. She watched them until the elevator closed, leaving the penthouse suddenly tranquil. And for the first time in a long while, she felt that Hush was filled not with loneliness, but with the promise of something good. Late morning found Camilla in the penthouse living room, music turned low on her phone. She stretched her arms high, feeling the pull in her muscles. Her reflection in the glass windows showed a solitary figure, hair pulled into a loose bun, wearing comfortable leggings. She closed her eyes, let the soft melody guide her into a slow, contemporary routine. Her torso swayed, arms carved graceful arcs through the air, feet stepping delicately across the polished floor. For 5 blissful minutes, she lost herself in the movement. No schedule, no laundry list of tasks, just the pure communion of body and music. Memories of her younger self, dancing in studio recitals, flickered through her mind. She'd once dreamed of making dance her life, and while she'd chosen another path, here in Nick's home, she found a piece of that dream returning. The song ended on a gentle crescendo, leaving her breathing deeply in the hush that followed. She opened her eyes and nearly jumped at the sight of Nick standing in the foyer, briefcase in hand, watching her intently. A flush of embarrassment colored her cheeks. "Nick, I didn't hear you come in," she stammered, hitting pause on her phone. "I thought you'd be at the office all day." He set down his briefcase. "Meeting was canceled last minute. Sorry if I startled you." Then his lips curled in a soft smile. Please don't stop on my account. It was wonderful to watch." She tucked a stray hair behind her ear, heat still creeping up her neck. "It's okay. I was just finishing." Nick took a step closer, eyes flicking over her. "You look happy. When you dance, there's a radiance about you." His voice lowered. "I meant what I said. You shouldn't give this up." Camilla swallowed, heart pounding under his unwavering gaze. "I appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like dancing is a part of me I can't fully share, but this helps." He nodded as though weighing his next words. "What if we made it a regular thing? An hour a couple times a week, set aside for you to practice? I can block out time in Lily's schedule or even coordinate with you. I want you to have that space." Her chest felt suddenly tight with emotion. "Nick, you're too kind. You don't have to—" "I want to," he interrupted softly, stepping still closer. "You give so much to me and Lily. Let me give something back. It's the least I can do." She met his eyes, searching them. Beneath the professional poise she glimpsed genuine concern, warmth, maybe even affection he struggled not to speak aloud. A wave of gratitude washed over her. "Then, yes, I'd love that. Thank you." Nick exhaled as if relieved, a gentle smile forming. It settled then. They lingered in silence. Outside, rain spattered the windows. The city felt worlds away as they stood in the spacious living room, no child or staff around to break the moment. Slowly, Nick reached out, fingertips grazing her arm. The touch was tentative but electric. Camilla's breath caught. She glanced toward Lily's empty room, verifying once more they were alone. Something in Nick's posture suggested he, too, was torn between caution and the urge to let this quiet longing unfold. "Camilla," he said softly, voice dipping. Sometimes I feel like I'm living two lives, the CEO at work and the father at home. You make it easier to bridge them, to remember there's more to life than constant pressure." Her gaze flickered downward. "And you help me remember I can still dance, still be true to myself." His hand slipped a fraction higher on her arm, anchoring them in shared vulnerability. "I know we agreed to be careful," he murmured, "but in moments like this, it's hard." She nodded, heart hammering. "Me too, but Lily—" "I know," he said, voice thick with regret. "We don't want to shake her world. She's just starting to trust this sense of normalcy. But how do we keep pretending nothing's changing between us?" Camilla's lips parted, but she had no easy answer. She swallowed past the lump in her throat. We move forward gently. We keep her safe. We wait until we're sure we can give her stability before we—" His gaze locked on hers, raw and intense. "And if I'm already sure how I feel about you?" His words hovered, brimming with confession. Her breath shuddered. I feel it too, so strongly." She dared lift a hand to his lapel, lightly gripping the fabric. "But Lily has to come first. We have to be certain. We can't risk confusion or heartbreak for her." Nick's eyes closed briefly, as if reining in a surge of emotion. "Yes, you're right. We won't rush. We'll find a way to tell her when it's time." Silence swelled, tension thick as the raindrops on the windows. In that suspended moment, Camilla felt torn between stepping back and leaning in. She'd never been more sure of their mutual affection, and never more aware of the complicated consequences it could bring. Finally, she let go of his lapel, placing a trembling hand over his. "We can do this," she said quietly. "One day Lily will understand, but for now, let's just be cautious." Nick inhaled, nodded, then gently withdrew his touch. "All right? Cautious?" A rueful smile pulled at her lips. "You need to get back to the office?" He checked his watch and grimaced. "Yes, I'm already behind schedule, but I'm glad I came back, even just to see you dance." Warmth fluttered in her chest. I'm glad too. He collected his briefcase, giving her a last lingering look before heading to the elevator. The door slid closed, leaving Camilla in the hush once more. She pressed a hand to her heart as though trying to steady its furious beat. Even though they'd chosen caution, each conversation, each touch made it harder to remain in that gray area. She yearned for the day they could embrace openly, kiss him hello rather than settling for fleeting brushes. But Lily and decency demanded they wait. That afternoon, the skies cleared, and Camilla picked Lily up from school under a soft glow of autumn sunshine. They stopped by the art store, selecting neon paint for Lily's next masterpiece, and Lily bubbled with excitement about baking brownies once they got home. When they returned, the penthouse felt strangely still. Camilla expected Nick to be away, but a note lay on the kitchen counter. Held up in back-to-back meetings. May not be home until late. Love you both. N. Camilla exhaled, passing the note to Lily. The girl gave a small sigh, then shrugged. He'll try, though. Right, Camilla? She forced a reassuring smile. Yes. Sometimes he shows up at the last minute. They launched into brownie baking. Lily stirred the batter vigorously, occasionally licking the spoon and giggling at the chocolate smear on her nose. Once the brownies cooled, Camilla helped Lily with homework, reading comprehension and a simple math sheet. As evening crept in, they ate a modest dinner, and Lily set aside a plate of brownies for her dad, just in case. By 8 p.m., Lily yawned, eyelids drooping. Camilla guided her through the bedtime routine, reading a short fairy tale. Nick still hadn't arrived. Lily's shoulders slumped, but she didn't protest, only whispering a faint, "Good night, Daddy," to the empty hallway. After tucking Lily in, Camilla found herself in the living room alone with her thoughts. The remains of the day's tension weighed on her. She checked the time, 8:30, still no call from Nick. She grabbed her phone, contemplating a text. But she didn't want to intrude on his business meeting. So she settled on the couch, flicking on a low lamp, letting the city's evening lights twinkle beyond the windows. She scrolled through social media mindlessly until 9:15, when finally the penthouse door opened. Nick stepped in, tie loosened, hair mussed, exhaustion etched across his features. He froze upon seeing her awake, a flash of apology in his eyes. "Camilla, sorry I'm so late," he murmured. "I didn't want to call and disturb Lily if she was asleep." She set her phone aside, rising to meet him. "It's okay. Lily left brownies for you." She gestured to the covered plate. "She went to bed a bit disappointed, but she understands." Nick exhaled, shoulders sagging. "This merger's consuming my life. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever be done with these 14-hour days." He raked a hand through his hair, then his tone softened. "Thank you for waiting up." "It's no problem," Camilla said, stepping closer. The fatigue in his eyes tugged at her heart. She wanted to reach out, hold him, tell him he was allowed to rest. Instead, she gestured to the couch. "Sit, have a brownie. I'll make tea if you want." He offered a wan smile. "I'd love tea." He sank onto the couch, letting his head fall back against the cushions. Camilla busied herself heating water and selecting a soothing chamomile blend. When she returned, she found him rubbing his temples, eyes closed. She set the mug on the coffee table, then gingerly took a seat beside him. "Long day," she said, not a question but an understanding. He cracked his eyes open, studying her with a wry smile. "Understatement. But seeing you helps." He reached for the tea, sipped carefully. That's good." They sat in companionable silence for a moment, the hush broken only by the hum of the penthouse's heating vents. Nick's posture slumped in relief, the day's burden slipping from his shoulders bit by bit. "Lily was excited about brownies," Camilla continued softly. "She made sure to save you the biggest one." A flicker of guilt crossed his features. "I hate missing these moments. She's had too many broken promises from me already. I'm trying, but the demands keep piling up." Camilla inched closer, letting her knee graze his. She knows you love her, and each time you do make it home earlier, it counts. She sees that effort. He set the mug down, turning to face her. And you see it too? He asked quietly. Of course I do, she whispered. Aware of the sudden proximity, her heart thudded. You're a good father, Nick. They locked eyes, the moment fraught with lingering tension and longing. Slowly his hand lifted, brushing a strand of hair from her face. It was an intimate gesture, one she yearned to accept yet still feared crossing into dangerous territory. But the tenderness in his gaze held her captive. Camilla, you've made me realize there's more than just surviving each day, he murmured. I haven't felt that in a long time. Her breath caught, chest clenching with emotion. You've brought that out in me too. But, Lily, he gave a solemn nod. We'll protect her heart, and we'll be honest when the time's right. But can I at least say? His words faltered, eyes glistening with a mix of vulnerability and resolve. Can I say that I'm grateful for whatever this is between us, that it gives me hope? A lump lodged in her throat. Her hand found his, and she squeezed. I'm grateful too, more than I can say. For a moment, they stayed like that, hands entwined. The city's lights shimmered outside, and inside the penthouse an unspoken promise settled between them. They would try, step by step, to build something real, not just for themselves, but for Lily's sake, because in many ways the three of them were forging a new family. Eventually, Nick let out a heavy sigh, pulling his hand away gently. I should shower and get some rest, he said, voice still husky with emotion. He rose, hesitating as if waiting for permission. Camilla nodded, standing as well, needing distance to calm her racing heart. Good night, and there's a brownie in the fridge with your name on it. A soft chuckle escaped his lips, though his eyes held lingering warmth. Thanks. Good night. He retreated to his room, door clicking shut behind him, while Camilla slipped into her own. Leaning against the closed door, she let out a trembling breath. They were dancing on a razor's edge, so close to letting their emotions overtake them, yet determined to do right by Lily. Each night the unresolved tension left her both exhilarated and anxious. But she believed in Nick's sincerity, and he clearly believed in her devotion to Lily. Maybe, just maybe, it would be enough. As she drifted to sleep, her mind played with visions of a future, a day when Lily's father could kiss her openly in the kitchen, a day they'd all share a real family portrait on the wall. Hope coiled in her chest, matched by the steady hum of caution. But for now, she chose to trust that gentle hum of something new, something that might become unbreakable, given time. 2 weeks had passed, filled with the usual rhythms of school drop-offs, rushed dinners, late-night work calls, and quiet gestures that kept Nick and Camilla hovering in a space between caution and possibility. Autumn had deepened, painting the city in vibrant oranges and reds. Lily spent afternoons collecting leaves to press in her notebooks, Camilla finding creative ways to incorporate them into craft projects. Meanwhile, Nick juggled the final stages of the merger at Aurora Tech, an effort that seemed to weigh heavily on his shoulders. It was a chilly Friday evening when everything converged in an unexpectedly emotional way. Camilla had just returned from picking Lily up at a friend's birthday party where the children had been squealing with excitement over balloons and cake. Lily clutched a goodie bag in one hand, stifling yawns after a day of playing games and devouring sugary treats. As they stepped through the penthouse door, Lily announced, "Daddy said he'd be home early tonight so we can watch that new movie." But the living room was empty, the apartment quietly echoing. It was already close to 7 p.m. Lily set the goodie bag on a table, shoulders drooping in disappointment. Camilla knelt beside her, gently squeezing Lily's hand. "He might just be running late. Let's get you changed into pajamas, and I'll fix a quick snack. If he comes soon, we'll all watch the movie together." Lily gave a small nod. "Okay," she whispered. "I know he tries." Camilla's heart tugged at that understated hope. He does, she reassured softly. While Lily changed, Camilla busied herself in the kitchen, heating tomato soup and preparing grilled cheese sandwiches. She checked her phone. No messages from Nick. Part of her wanted to text him, ask if he was okay, but she hesitated. He might still be stuck in a crucial meeting, no time for phone checks. When Lily came back wearing cozy pajamas, they settled at the dining table to eat. Lily's chatter about the party was subdued, and after a few minutes, she fell silent, staring at the door as though willing Nick to burst through. Half an hour passed. Then an hour. The clock ticked closer to 8:30 and Lily's eyelids sagged with exhaustion. At last, she exhaled, a mixture of resignation and hurt. "I guess he can't make it," she murmured, fiddling with her spoon. Camilla stood, moving to Lily's side. "Come on, sweetheart, I'll tuck you in. Maybe he'll peek in later and say goodnight if he arrives." She felt the weight of Lily's sadness as they headed to the bedroom. The child climbed under the covers, hugging her stuffed bunny. After reading a short story, Camilla leaned in to press a gentle goodnight kiss on Lily's forehead. "I love you," she said quietly, the admission slipping out with ease. It was a feeling that had crystallized. She did love Lily, wholeheartedly, as though the little girl were part of her own family. Lily blinked. "I love you too, Camilla," she whispered, sounding both grateful and weary. Then she yawned. "Daddy loves you too." Her words were drowsy, almost an afterthought, but they cut through Camilla's heart with surprising force, making her breath catch. She waited until Lily dozed off, then slipped out into the hallway, a swirl of emotion tangled in her chest. Lily's quiet statement echoed, "Daddy loves you too." It felt like a child's innocent observation, yet it was precisely the kind of truth Camilla and Nick had been dancing around. At 9 p.m., the penthouse door finally clicked open. Nick rushed in, hair disheveled, apology etched across his face the moment he noticed Camilla waiting in the living room. "She's asleep, isn't she?" he said, voice heavy with remorse. Camilla nodded. "She tried to wait, but she was exhausted. We had soup and sandwiches. She's in bed." Nick's expression twisted in regret. "I hate this," he confessed, dropping his briefcase. "I was stuck in negotiations for the merger, couldn't get out. By the time I was free, I realized how late it was." Camilla approached him gently. "She'll understand," though she was disappointed. He dragged a hand over his face. "I'll make it up to her, maybe tomorrow." Then he glanced at the dimly lit corridor, concern flickering in his eyes. "Is she okay?" Camilla guided him closer to the couch, urging him to sit. "She's sleeping now. She did say something right before drifting off." Hesitation held her back, but she realized honesty might be needed. She said, "Daddy loves you too." Nick's head shot up, eyes wide. He let out a breath. "She said that?" Camilla gave a faint smile, sinking onto the couch beside him. "I think she can sense something between us. She's intuitive." He rubbed his temples, closing his eyes briefly. "And how do you feel about that? Is it too soon?" A delicate hush fell. Camilla gazed at his face, worn by stress and guilt, but also illuminated by an undercurrent of longing. She placed a hand on his knee, mindful not to push too far. "I'm not certain how much Lily understands, but I also don't want her to feel left in the dark. We keep saying we'll be cautious, but she's a bright kid. She might already see how we care for each other." Nick nodded, swallowing hard. "We never wanted to hide anything from her if this turned serious, but we didn't want to add confusion to her life. The question is, when does protecting her become underestimating her?" Camilla's pulse quickened. "That's the real issue," she said softly. "I think she's okay, Nick. She's healing. She's strong. And if the three of us can support each other openly, maybe it'll bring more clarity than confusion." He hesitated. "So, you're saying we should talk to her? Tell her we have feelings for each other?" Camilla searched his gaze, heart thudding. Maybe not the entire adult explanation, but something honest and reassuring. Let her know that if she sees us being closer, it's a good thing. That we both love her and that we also care deeply about each other." Nick exhaled, shoulders drooping in tentative relief. "I'd like that." He studied her face. "Because I do care about you, Camilla. A lot. More than I ever thought I'd feel again." Tears gathered at the corners of her eyes, unbidden. She took his hand, lacing her fingers with his. "I care about you too, and Lily, more than I can describe." In the hush that followed, Nick raised their joined hands and brushed his lips against her knuckles. The gesture was tender, brimming with unspoken emotion. She felt warmth rush through her, a quiet sense that they were about to step into a different, more honest stage of their relationship. "Let's do this tomorrow," he whispered. "We'll explain it gently to Lily. We'll tell her she's always first in our hearts. But that you and we might become something more." Camilla nodded, blinking back tears. "Yes, I think it's time." They lingered in that moment, letting the weight of the decision settle. Then Camilla remembered Lily's plate of brownies still in the kitchen. She rose, pulling Nick gently by the hand. "Come on, you should at least eat something before bed." Nick chuckled, following. "I won't say no to brownies." In the kitchen, they shared the leftover treats. He ate them in a quiet hush, occasionally glancing her way with a new glow in his eyes, like the relief of a man who'd finally decided on the path he'd take. When the brownies were gone, Nick walked her to her bedroom door, an almost shy courtesy that made her smile. "I'll see you tomorrow morning?" he asked softly, hand still clasped around hers. She squeezed back. "Yes, we can figure out how to talk to Lily in a gentle way." They parted, Camilla's heart thrumming with a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Lying awake in bed, she replayed every word. Tomorrow, they'd take the next step. No more secrets or half-truths. The thought was exhilarating. She drifted to sleep, imagining Lily's face. The child might be confused at first, but Camilla felt certain Lily would adapt, just as she'd adapted to so many changes in her short life. But this time, it was a change for the better. A chance for all of them to share love openly, to build a future that honored Diana's memory while welcoming new possibilities. Morning came bathed in a vibrant sunrise as though the world itself anticipated their conversation. Over breakfast, Lily chattered about a class project she needed to finish. Nick sipped coffee, Camilla preparing toast. There was a current of both tension and excitement in the air. After finishing her cereal, Lily hopped off the chair, wiping her mouth. Nick cleared his throat, exchanging a glance with Camilla. "Sweetheart, do you have a minute? We want to talk to you." Lily frowned, noticing the seriousness in his tone. She clutched her spoon. "Am I in trouble?" Camilla hurried to reassure her. "No, not at all. We just want to share something with you." She gestured for Lily to sit back down, and the child did so, curious eyes darting between them. Nick knelt to Lily's level, placing a hand on her small shoulder. Camilla moved closer, heart thudding. "Remember how you asked if I love Camilla?" he began softly. "Well, the truth is yes, I do. She's important to me just like you are." Lily's eyes widened. She glanced at Camilla, then back at her father. "Really?" Camilla took a careful step forward. "We both care about each other, Lily, and we also care about you so much. We want you to know this isn't changing how we feel about you, or how your daddy is always here for you, but we might be more than friends in time." Lily blinked, processing. Silence stretched. Camilla held her breath, unsure whether Lily might be upset or confused. Then, slowly, the child's face broke into a hopeful smile. "So, that means we can all be together?" she asked softly. Nick nodded, voice thick. "If that's okay with you, we wanted you to feel safe." Lily placed her spoon on the table, tears brimming. "I miss Mommy, but I'm not sad if you love Camilla. She's nice, and she helps me feel better." A lone tear spilled down Lily's cheek, but it was accompanied by a smile. I just don't want to lose her. Camilla's own eyes blurred. She crouched, gathering Lily into a gentle hug. You won't lose me, sweetheart. I'm here no matter what. Nick wrapped them both in his arms, forming a tight circle. Lily sniffled, burying her face in Camilla's shoulder, while Nick stroked his daughter's hair. Their collective warmth created a shield of love and reassurance. After a moment, Lily spoke in a muffled voice. Can we still do brownies? And dancing? And everything? Camilla laughed softly through tears. Of course. More brownies than you can imagine. And more dancing, too. Nick pressed a tender kiss to the top of Lily's head. We'll figure out how to be a family in our own way. And we'll always remember Mommy. Lily nodded, a glimmer of understanding in her childlike eyes. That's good, she whispered. They remained in that embrace for several breaths, a triad bound by shared emotion and the promise of a new chapter. Eventually, Lily pulled back, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. I have to go get my backpack for school, she announced, giggling at her own watery state. Camilla and Nick watched as Lily darted off, surprisingly buoyant after such a big revelation. When she was out of earshot, Nick reached for Camilla's hand. Thank you, he said, voice trembling with gratitude. I was terrified, but you made it safe. Camilla laced her fingers through his. She did most of it. She's braver than we think. He nodded, eyes moist. Then, in the hush of the morning, with Lily momentarily out of sight, he leaned in and gently pressed his lips to Camilla's. It was the softest kiss, brimming with relief, acceptance, and the swell of a future he dared not imagine months ago. She kissed him back, letting her free hand cup his cheek. The taste of tears and hope mingled on their lips, and a quiet certainty bloomed in her chest. They'd reached a turning point, together. When they broke apart, they both smiled, tears of joy glistening. A moment later, Lily bounded back, backpack thumping. She caught them standing close and giggled, no longer uncertain. Camilla and Nick exchanged a slightly sheepish grin, but Lily just beamed. The child's acceptance felt like a blessing, and so they set off into the day, Camilla guiding Lily downstairs, Nick promising to catch up after a quick phone call. As they stepped into the elevator, Camilla's heart was light. The family they formed might be unconventional, but it was bound by care and a desire for mutual healing. There would be challenges ahead, no doubt, but they wouldn't face them alone. At last, the single-father CEO who had once lived behind walls of grief found himself dancing again, emotionally and literally, alongside the young nanny who brought laughter back into his home. Their story was only beginning, but already it pulsed with love, promise, and the unwavering presence of a little girl who believed in magic, in second chances, and in the simple power of belonging to each other. If you enjoyed this story, don't miss the next one. Just click on the screen